Hello guys and welcome to the Marigold Standard, your weekly audio source of all things Dream Star Fighting Marigold. I'm your host Rob Goodwin, and joining me as ever on the countdown to what is promising to be a historic show, it's Matt Turner. Matt Turner, are you excited? Are you excited for incoming Destiny?
I'm excited for the summer Destiny, even though it feels like we're in the middle of basically the 3 layers of hell here in Pennsylvania, because it has been in the 90s the last 3 or 4 days with about 100% humidity. But there is no heat wave that'll take me away or take away any of my excitement away for the summer Destiny show that we will be previewing at the end of this show, as well as we'll be reviewing 3 fantastic shows from our friends over at Marigold Wrestling. But yes, I'm super pumped for a show that very well may be the best wrestling show we've seen all year, and considering the fact that we're 6 months into this year and we've seen a lot of fantastic wrestling. My brother, I'm super pumped. How is everything on your end, and how excited are you for the dream match of dream matches?
I'm very excited because, as you know, as is always the case with these Japanese pay-per-views, they're on at a relatively decent time for us Brits. So often we have to stay up till 2, 3 in the morning to watch pay-per-views. But no, 6:30 British Standard Time is Summer Destiny. So I'm very happy about that. Obviously, you know, we're going to be talking a lot about Utami and Io, and that's obviously the match that everyone is going to be talking about, to the point where Io was actually given an interview with Tokyo Sports and said that, which I'm going to talk a little bit about in the news. So yeah, it's an incredibly exciting time, and I think it's sort of gone a little bit under the radar that Marigold are only 2-3 months old. Like, it's mental. It's absolutely mental that they are running Ryogoku after 2 months of being a company. And that's sort of, everyone's sort of just been that enamored with the possibility of Julia and Sari, which hopefully confirmation of her being cleared will come soon. I imagine we'd have heard if there was an issue by this point, so I'm not going to entertain that. I know that quite a few people are worried about that, and fair enough. You know, it hasn't been announced yet. I know that there is a press conference coming on Friday the 12th. I imagine it will probably be announced there. I'm not concerned, simply because I imagine if they would have had to drop Julia from the card, and I was saying this to you, Matt, before we came on air, if this was someone on the lower card, a card shuffle and you're fine. However, someone in the main event, potentially for your first championship as well, you do need to bring someone in of an equal standing. And I feel like Marigold would have wanted to capitalise on that advertising. So I'm confident that Julia will be fine and will be ready. But yeah, it's you sort of forget, because of these 2 matches and how excited everyone is for these 2 matches, that again, Marigold are such a young company, and to be able to do this, and according to Meltzer and the Wrestling Observer newsletter, they've already sold 2,500 tickets. That's bloody impressive, Matt.
Yeah, not a bad deal. Not a bad deal. And again, considering the fact that your 2 main events for this show are 2 dream matches that we've been wanting to see for a few years, obviously Julia and Sari, which looks like it may be for their first world champion, their red belt, and then of course Utami Hayashishita taking on one Io Shirai, or Io Sky as she's known over here in the States. Yeah, 2 dream matches, and then we get another Migo Ano versus Mirai match, which I tell you what, sometimes too much of a good thing can be a bad thing, but not for these matches, because obviously we will review their match on the 29th, which is like, yeah, I'm fine with it. And then obviously we have the High Speed Championship. We have some tag stuff. We have Shinobi Kandori coming back to pro wrestling. Really, really stacked card. Obviously, a lot of the wrestling fans are talking about those 2 dream matches, those 2 main events, and rightfully so. But that undercard looks really, really solid. And again, considering the fact that Rasi Ogawa was able to put all this together in just a few months' time, it really just goes to show you just how ahead of the curve the Hat Man is, my friend. And at the end of the day, the ones that get to benefit the most are us, the wrestling fans. So how lucky are we? How lucky are we? And I think this is a better time. I don't know if there's a better time for me to give a cheap plug. And speaking of wrestling fans, we will be doing a live review of this show, Summer Destiny, on Saturday, just a handful of hours after the show has happened. So super excited for that, my friend. Super excited to watch the show. Always great to do a review with you, my brother, but I'm a big fan of when we do these live reviews. It just makes the show that we watched and our podcast just more special.
8 p.m. British Standard Time and 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, Saturday, the 13th of July. Make sure you are there. Twitter and YouTube, we will be there reviewing live. Get all of your questions in. We'll do our best to answer as many as we can. But obviously, with this being the Summer Destiny week, there's been quite a bit of news in Marigold and a little bit from Stardom as well. Stuff that dropped last week that, of course, as is always the case, Matt, whenever we record, news drops after we've recorded. So just a little bit of a run through of what we're going to be talking about in this show. Obviously, we're going to talk about the news. We're going to run through 3 of the Marigold shows for you from the 29th, the 30th, which was Mariah's homecoming show, and then the show from the 6th in the 176 box in Osaka. The show from the 7th dropped this morning, but obviously me and Matt haven't had a chance to watch that, to review it, so what we'll do is we'll stick that alongside our live review as well, so we can talk about that show as well, because obviously that is the final show before Summer Destiny. So we'll look at that. So, Matt, let's delve into some news. First things first, obviously, we want to extend our warm wishes to Chika Goto, who unfortunately had to go home to Tokyo in between the shows on the 6th and the 7th of July due to illness. So, obviously, we hope nothing too untoward has happened and that she is okay. And obviously, we wish her a speedy recovery ahead of Ryogoku. Matt, I know that she's a big favourite of yours.
Yeah, again, we mentioned it almost every week on this show that outside of the Stardom roster, we've never seen any of these really 90% of the former Stardom wrestlers. We haven't really seen any of these wrestlers wrestle before. And Chika Goto is one of the ones, obviously with Miko Ono, 2 of the 3 that really, really stand out to me. I'm a huge fan of hers. Again, she understands her character. She understands how to connect with the audience before even the bell even rings. And I always think that's really important. But yeah, kind of getting down to it, whatever that did happen to her. Again, we live in a post-COVID world. It's not like how it was, 8, 9, 10 years ago, that if you have a cold, you have a fever, 9 times out of 10, you kind of just work through it, because that's just kind of the way a lot of the world works, especially the wrestling world, where now it's like, no, if you're not feeling well, we don't know if it's COVID or if it's a flu or what it is. Rather than you stay sick or you get yourself worse and maybe even get the whole locker room sick, or even some of the fans in the first few rows sick, may as well just send you home as a precaution. So I enjoy that. Not enjoy that. I don't want anybody to get sick, but I like that. I like the fact that it's like, we're going to err on the side of caution. We're going to send so-and-so home. We saw it happen with Suzuki and Stardom at the beginning of the year. We saw it with Nanae Takahashi just about 2 or 3 weeks ago. And I like that. It goes to show that they're putting the wrestler first. They're putting the people first, other than, no, you're sick or you're hurt, you're going to perform through. So whatever it was that was wrong, it wasn't anything that was really speculated. My guess is she either tested positive for COVID, or she had COVID-like or flu-like symptoms. So again, let's just send her home, let her rest, and then get her back better than ever for the big show in Ryogoku Sumo Hall, my friend.
Absolutely, and especially as her and Koki Amare, who obviously team as the Twin Towers, are looking to be crowned the first Twin Star Marigold champions, or Marigold Twin Star champions, should I say. So obviously they'll want to be fighting fit and make an impression when it comes to Summer Destiny. So obviously, again, we extend our well wishes and hope it's nothing too serious. Couple of interviews have dropped, and shout out to friend of the show, Sky Wrestling, who has done some absolutely fantastic work interviewing Sari, I believe, for a 4th time. He's also interviewed, and that's dropped this morning, Misa Matsui ahead of her Superfly Championship match with Natsumi Shozuki on Saturday. So definitely go and check those out. Io Sky has done an interview with Tokyo Sports ahead of her in-ring return in Japan. This will be the first time, as I mentioned a couple of months ago, the first time since Korakuen in June 2018 that she has wrestled for a Japanese company, which is a wild statistic. But Scott has sort of pulled out some of the highlights of this interview, and the one thing I wanted to talk about here is she talked about the match that she's having with Utami and said that it's one that the world is watching, hopes it'll be a great match that will go down in history. But this sentence here, the former WWE Women's Champion noted to Tokyo Sports that she wasn't used to wrestlers looking up to her, saying many joined Stardom wanting to instead be like Mayu Iwatani or Kairi. That's wild to me, Matt, when you consider that Io is so important to the history of Stardom that so many people would prefer to be like a Mayu or a Kairi as opposed to an Io. Why do you think that is?
I think because Io is very modest. I mean, obviously, we see the Io Shirai character is bigger than life, but we know we've had friends of ours that have worked with Io in NXT and obviously in Stardom and some over in WWE, where they say that she is. It's Allison Danger. She has told us on several occasions that Io is like literally the nicest, most down to earth person that you'll ever meet. So it's just like you see this big Io Shirai character where she's larger than life. I mean, Io's like 5'3", 5'4", but her presence, she may as well be 8'8", because she's got this larger than life character. And I just think that she's so modest that she doesn't see herself like maybe the way that we see her. The huge fans of Io, in WWE, NXT, and Stardom who've been covering Io, who go back into the the treasure trove of matches that she's had in Stardom. We just gloss over what a phenomenal talent that she is. That we're just like, really? Like, you think that, again, Mayu and Kairi, they're on my Mount Rushmore. I think Mayu's the greatest female wrestler of all time and is right up there with Will Ospreay as the wrestler of the year for this year, very much into her prime. But it's really weird that she said that why they were in Stardom, because no disrespect to anybody on that roster, it's, especially Mayu and Kairi, like Io was head and shoulders above everybody else. So I just think that she's just so modest and she's so down to earth that she's like, oh, that's nice, but I thought everybody wanted to be like these two, the person that trips over her own feet and the pirate. So I did find that very, very interesting, and I think that she will absolutely go out of her way to give Utami Hayashishita one of the best matches of her career. And my expectation, obviously we'll get into it, towards the end of the show, because that's the main event of this podcast, is previewing that show with that match. But I wouldn't be shocked that if we say at the end, my expectations for the match are super high. I expect it to be, as far as in ring goes, probably one of Io's best matches she's had in the last 5 or 6 years. As great as that match was with Bayley at WrestleMania, I expect this match to be better. As great as some of her TV matches on SmackDown when she was champion were, I expect this to be better. As great as her NXT run was, I expect this to be better. And what I mean by that is I think Io is going to tap into that Stardom Io, knowing how important this match is for Marigold, for the Japanese fans, her fans, for Utami Hayashishita. I think that's one of the reasons why. Another reason why I think it's going to be Io's best match she's had since 2018 is, no disrespect to anybody that Io has wrestled from 2018 until now, none of those wrestlers, and they're great wrestlers, are as good as Utami Hayashishita, because I can probably count on one hand how many wrestlers in the world are better than current day Utami Hayashishita. So that just makes that, again, great job on the interview, because that just makes this match coming up this weekend so much more important and so much more intriguing for us professional wrestling fans.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's not like Io's going to take it easy. I mean, we know that she has got this massive match in Ryogoku and insists on doing a pile driver off the top of a ladder onto another ladder just mere days before it, because apparently she enjoys giving fans of hers heart failure. Did you see that move?
Literally, Rob, I had a cookout over my parents' house, and I kept progging my dad to go put on the Peacock Network. I said, Dad, let's watch this Money in the Bank. Let's watch this Money in the Bank. And finally, we went inside, and I think we logged on to the the smart TV in my parents' house for about 90 seconds. And about that move happened. And I looked over at my dad. I go, he goes, I know you're a huge fan of Io. I hope she's okay. I go, Dad, she's got a dream match in Japan and in a week's time. I'm like, oh my God, I hope she's okay. And I literally was, and the rest, I only saw a little bit of that match. And obviously later on, we're recording this on a Tuesday. As soon as I get home tonight, I'm going to watch the ladder match so I can do Io and Kairi watch. And then from what I understand, Io was fantastic in the 6-person tag match they had on Raw. So I'll be watching that. But from what everybody was telling me, Io was moving fine, is probably on a plane to Japan right now. But I was like, Oh my, like really out of all things, like Io had to do it looked like it was a Michinoku driver off the ladder through off one ladder through another. And the reason why I say that is maybe she's like, well, I'm going back to Japan. I need to do something crazy before I go. And maybe she watched the Micah Megan Bain Michinoku driver off the top rope and was just like, hold my beer or sake or whatever it is that Mayu drinks or sparkling champagne. I was like, oh, geez, I hope she's okay. I really, really do. But it sounds like from what everybody was telling me this morning that she was A-okay on Monday Night Raw. So I was like, yeah, that was, again, I had the TV on maybe 2 minutes at most, buddy. And I'm like, this is what I see? Like, oh, jeez.
Yeah, I was like, somebody needs to check in on Scotty Wrestling because he is going to be very, very ill if this doesn't happen. But yes, Io does seem to be fine. So obviously we are looking forward to that match. Ahead of some of Destiny, the Hatman himself, Mr. Rossi Vice Wrestling, Mr. Rossi Vice himself gave an interview to Yahoo, or the On Count part of Yahoo, where he sort of bigged up Marigold and talked about sort of ideas heading into the future. And there was a couple of things that I wanted just to talk about. These have been translated by the fantastic people over at Mira Wrestling on Twitter, who do fantastic work translating all these articles. The first thing, he was asked about potentially working with other promotions. Obviously, we know about the working relationship with the WWE. We've just spoken about Io Sky coming over, but he's actually emphatically said we have absolutely no intention of interacting with other promotions. It's not impossible, though. We want to create wrestling that can only be seen here. Otherwise, we'll lose our reason for existing. And I thought, initially, I was like, that's an interesting take. Why would you not, welcome other promotions? And then actually, the more I've thought about it, the more I'm like, actually, that makes perfect sense, especially whilst you are establishing your name, establishing your brand. Because, again, as we mentioned at the top of this show, Marigold are 2 months old. Like, you need, the WWE is different. They are a global juggernaut. And they, for better or for worse, their style of wrestling is completely different to that of Marigold. Io Sky in WWE wrestles completely different to Io Shirai, or Io Sky will wrestle in Japan against Utami. It's just a different style. So I think taking that out of the equation, I do understand why Rossi said this, because especially whilst you are establishing a brand, whilst you are establishing your own identity as a wrestling company in, a country where there are so many different Joshi wrestling promotions, you want to try and set yourself apart from other ones. And I was interested, Matt, what's your take on that?
You had a really good point, my man. I read that and I was kind of like, you kind of want to keep your doors open just in case, right? Obviously, we talk about all the time on the Stardom Cast about how all these forbidden doors are no longer there. We see different promotions working with different promotions all the time, and we're getting dream matches. And I tell you what, partner, you hit it at, you said something absolutely perfect there that I didn't even think about. The promotion's only 3 months old. Establish the Marigold identity, establish the Marigold style of, a pure professional wrestling before you're sending, this person to that promotion or you're welcoming other people in. Like I can see from time to time, like, we had Momoko Hanazono on a show that we're going to review in a little bit. So like a person coming in from time to time, I got no problem with that. But yeah, you want to keep your main focus on the stars you're establishing, your Bozillas, your Miko Anos, your wrestlers like that. The Chikagotos, Koki Amares, the wrestlers, now Ishikawas, the wrestlers that we don't know too much of, again, because our background, our expertise is in Stardom. So yeah, you want to establish that brand. So yeah, very well put, my friend, because I read that this morning. It was like, that's kind of weird. They're working with WWE. You figure they may want to work with other companies. But yeah, I like that. I like the way that you put it, is establish the Marigold identity first.
Yeah, because you want to be able to say yourself out as different to, Marvelous, Pro Wrestling Wave, Diana, Sendai Girls, Stardom, and that's just off the top of my head, not counting Act Res Girls or A to Z or any number of others, JWP or not JWP. What's the one I'm thinking of? Pure J. That's the one I'm thinking of. You want to be able to set yourself aside. You want to set yourself apart from them and show everyone why they should be watching you rather than going to watch other promotions. So I do see why Rossi said that. He then moves on, actually, to say, to talk about a show war against Stardom in December. And the reason he brings this up is because ideally he wanted to do another Ryogoku show on December the 28th. This is, again, part of the interview that he gave to Yahoo or On Count, which I believe is part of Yahoo. I don't exactly know how it works, but this is, again, courtesy of Mira Wrestling. He says, quote, "To tell you the truth, I wanted to do another Ryogoku show on December 28th. I think Stardom is coming to Ryogoku on the 29th. Then a phrase I hadn't heard in a long time, show war, came back to me. That's what I wanted to do, a Ryogoku show war. If that happened, both promotions would get attention. That's why I wanted to do it, but another promotion was already involved. It's fun to incite things like that in pro wrestling, isn't it? I remember this kind of thing happening in the past." Now, this I do like, and I know that we've heard that, the idea of a cross-promotional thing between Stardom and Marigold was very briefly bandied about. What are your thoughts about this, potential show? Well, obviously it's not going to happen. Apparently there is already another promotion involved. I don't know whether that is another promotion is already running Ryogoku on the 28th, or if it means that another promotion, presumably New Japan and AEW, with Stardom alongside that week, which we talked about on the Stardom cast last week, that Wrestle Kingdom week of shows. I don't know which one Rossi is referring to, but Matt, what's your thought on a potential show war and the benefits and the potential drawbacks?
The benefits would be, again, you're probably going to have a lot of people coming in that week. It's after Christmas. A lot of people are on holiday break. I know I'll be on holiday break. And again, I mentioned it last week, fingers crossed. This is something that I'm going to be doing next year from 2025 into 2026, is going to these slew of shows, as long as this is an annual thing, very much like WrestleMania. So it's like you're already going to have the fans there. You're already going to have international fans there, more people going to Sumo Hall to see the Stardom show. Why not try to benefit from it by running a show the day before, considering the fact the majority of people are already going to be there? What's another wrestling show? You know what I mean? Especially if when you have a Marigold show. So now you have something kind of the same yet different. The one thing that I don't like when they do these show wars, and I've seen this done on the indies all the time, is you'll have a rival wrestling company run the same day like 2 blocks down the road, and they do that on purpose. I'm like, that doesn't benefit anybody, because if Rob Goodwin's wrestling promotion, they usually draw about 250 people, and Matt Turner's wrestling promotion usually draws about 200 people, and they run the same town, just opposite days, and then one day Rob's like, oh, I'm going to run the same show as Matt's show. Well, guess what? Rob, instead of getting 250, gets 100 people. Matt, instead of getting 200, gets 75 people, because they don't know what show to see because it's in the same time. Who really wins? Nobody. You lost money. Doesn't make any sense. So as long as Ross is not going to run on the same day or the same day, same time, I got no problem with that. Obviously, it's not going to happen, but I see what he's trying to do, where it's just like, okay, we have this AEW, CMLL, obviously Ring of Honor is part of AEW, Stardom, New Japan relationship where they're all working together and they all want to put on all these fantastic shows for everybody right after Christmas. I'm going to get in on that. Hey, that'd be great, because it's, again, this is kind of the, the joint promotions of the non-forbidden door now, as I guess we're calling it. But now why not have something different coming where it's just a Marigold show with just the Marigold wrestler? So I got no problem with that. Like, as far as the show war goes, the only thing I don't like is when a wrestling company deliberately will run same date, same time, or roughly the same time, right around the same place, and it's just now, and then you're leaving the fans the fact that then now we have to choose which one that we go see, and it kind of just dilutes the product. So yeah, I got no problem with that, as long as you're not you're not trying to hurt the other companies' ticket sales by, again, running same date, same time, because ultimately you're going to lose ticket sales as well.
Yeah, and I don't think that was ever on the cards from Rossi. He was very clear that he wanted to run December 28th, the day before. And, we see it year upon year upon year at the WrestleMania week shows where everyone is just trying to get a piece of that pie. You don't try and deliberately run at the same time as your competition unless you are trying to sabotage them. I don't think that will be the case. I think you just, because a lot of the fan base that Marigold have, they will share with Stardom. So if you run a show at the same time as Stardom, you run a very serious risk of halving your own attendance, which makes no business or financial sense. So, however, the idea of a show war, I think, is quite a cool one and something that it wouldn't surprise me if we see revisited maybe next year. But I'm looking forward to seeing how that materializes. I want to talk a little bit about Stardom simply because this dropped just after we recorded, because of course it did, because that always happens. More of the Stardom 5-star Grand Prix competitors have been announced, which means that we only have 4 empty spots left. Just a reminder that this year's tournament is the first tournament where it will be split into 4 blocks. So 2 Red Stars blocks and 2 Blue Stars blocks. The competitors are as follows. In Red Stars A block, you have got Maika, Hazuki, Natsukatora, Natsupoi, Konami, Manami, who we saw on the 4th of July Korakuen Hall show, and then 1 mystery opponent. In Red Stars B block, and Jesus Christ, I mean, just listen to the potential matchups that we get in this block. Mayu Iwatani, Tam Nakano, Momo Watanabe, Azumi, Mei Seira, Sayurida, Tomoka Inaba. I mean, literally,
there's no bad matches.
There is not one filler match there. It's literally, in the words of Sum 41, it's all killer and absolutely no filler. Blue Stars A block, we have got Shiori Ano, Shiori, Starlight Kid, Xena, Koguma, and then we have got 2 spaces in that block to fill. Blue Stars B block sees Suzu Suzuki, who will be returning to in-ring action, Saya Kamatani, Hanan, Amisori, Saki Kashima, Tekla, unless she beats up any more reporters, and another vacant slot. So we have still got 4 names to go. I would be very surprised, Matt, as you have already alluded to, if one of these spots does not go to Mika Iwata. I'd be very surprised. Obviously, they have got a double championship match coming up on Monday. Sayori Ano and Mika Iwata, a double championship match, Sendai Girls World Championship, and Wonder of Stardom Championship winner takes all match. I assume if Mika Iwata wins, which I do think she probably will, I imagine she will go straight into the 5-star Grand Prix. As for the others, now, unfortunately, my Japanese is rudimentary to say the least. We have got 2 competitors that are labelled X, and then we have got 2 that have got some sort of description on them. Unfortunately, it's in Japanese, so I don't know what that actually says. Matt, what are you thinking here? Do you think we get X and 2X? Do we think we get those from maybe a Japanese promotion, maybe an Azusa Inaba, something like that? And then the ones with more of a description, are we importing them perhaps from AEW?
My guess, Rob, it could be the job guy from the WWF in the late '90s, Mr. X, who may or may not been Dr. Tom Pritchard. So the fact that we may get a Xena versus Dr. Tom Pritchard match in the 5-star Grand Prix,
absolutely.
I mean, folks, how much more can I sell you on this? I mean, how much more can we sell you on this? Yeah, I think, and they did when they were announcing some of they gave us some more matches on night 1 of the 5-star Grand Prix. And partner, you know as well as I do that they love to load up that night 1 5-star Grand Prix. It's usually one of, if not the best wrestling show you will see bell to bell all year from any wrestling company. And they did make a good amount of, they did put a good amount of focus on Sayori Ano is facing one of these X's on night 1 of the 5-star Grand Prix. My guess is going to be Mika Iwata. I think that she's going to be in this bracket and that we're going to see Mika Iwata in If you're asking me if Stardom was to call me and they said, Matt, Miko Wada is in this tournament, what bracket do we put her in? To me, it's Blue Stars A for two. I mean, I go through a zillion reasons, but the main reasons is we'll get another run back of Miko Wada versus Soriano, which I think that match is going to a time limit draw on Sendai Girls because it's for the double titles, and I don't see Soriano taking both those belts just yet. And I don't see her taking the Sendai Girls belt, and I don't think Soriano is going to lose another one. But I think they're going to put Miko Wada in that bracket so Soriano can kind of get her win back. And then, if you remember, when I did the Hana Kimura tribute show review, they did a lot of teasing of Mika Owada versus Shuri. So if they do put her in Blue Stars A, we do get Mika Owada and Soriano, and we do get Mika Owada versus Shuri, as well as Xena. That's going to be terrific as well, but we will get literally that dream match with Mika Owada and Shuri. So I think Mika Owada is going to be one. As far as who the other three are, I'm just going to get it out of the way. And me and you were texting each other back and forth quite a bit this weekend. It does not look like Mina Shirakawa is going to be in this tournament. I'm hoping that I'm wrong. But I think that, one, they would have announced her because the tickets for all these shows already went on sale. We know Mina Shirakawa is a ticket seller, more so now than ever because she's coming off this AEW run where she's getting more of the Western audience, to view her on AEW TV and pay-per-views. And, she wrestled in front of 10,000 people last week at Forbidden Door. So they would have already announced her. Now, if Mina is not going to be in this tournament, these other four wrestlers, Rob, these other four wrestlers could be Miko Wada, they could be Tony Storm, they could be Chihiro Hashimoto, and they could be Steph Vacker, right? And then we'd be like, oh my God, that's great. But we'll all say, us diehard Stardom fans are like, where's Mina Shirakawa? Like, it doesn't matter who these other four wrestlers are. Mina Shirakawa is not here. Our initial reaction is we're going to be upset. If Mina Shirakawa is not in this tournament, I don't think she's going to be. Stardom, before they announce these other four slots, they need to announce Mina Shirakawa will not be in this tournament. This way it softens the blow a little bit. Like, okay, we're not getting Mina. Oh, that's terrible. What's this going thing with AEW, yada, yada, yada. Rob, believe it or not, I'm going to tell you something I'm not sure you're aware of. Wrestling fans on Twitter, they can go a little bit overboard sometimes. They get a little bit negative.
No.
Not sure if you're aware of that.
No,
yes, I know.
I won't believe it for a second, Matt.
Hot take, my man, from your podcast partner over here. But again, if Mina's not going to be in this tournament, I'll be a little bit upset, right? But considering what we already have announced, I think we're going to get over it. Announce it ahead of time. Announce it a day or two ahead of time, soften the blow, and then you can give us whatever four wrestlers they're going to be. I'm going to say one's going to be Miko Wada. We did make mention possibly it's going to be somebody from AEW. I mentioned how I'd like to see it Serena Deeb. I completely forgot about one former Stardom alumni and Deonna Purrazzo. I think that's a good shout. Regardless of whoever these four wrestlers are, it doesn't matter who it's going to be because all of the wrestlers, especially in Stardom, are terrific. Even if you look at these rookies, Rob, even if we get Aya Sakura, Saka Kurora, Rana Yugami, and this tournament, we'll be like, that's fine because they're all really, really good and getting better. So whoever these four slots are, I don't think it's going to matter because of how great the tournament is, how loaded the Stardom roster is, and if they're going to go outside of Stardom to bring somebody in, they're not going to bring in, somebody that's not going to be up to snuff with the Stardom roster. Again, Miko Owada, you can plug her into Stardom tomorrow. Technically, they did about a month ago, and she's fitting in just fine. So I hope we get Miko Wada. I hope we do get somebody from AEW, get a little international flair. That'll be really fun as well. Again, fingers crossed, maybe a Steph Vacker, and then, maybe a Momo Kogo, a Rana Yugami. I'm not sure who else is kind of left on the Stardom roster, but that's who my four picks, again, to me, it doesn't matter because this tournament, these brackets are crazy, crazy loaded. But again, if it's not going to be Mina Shirakawa, announce it a day or two ahead of time. So again, Rob, breaking news. So the internet doesn't go overboard on this.
Yeah, and I'm sure we'll discuss this more when we record the Stardom cast this week because I understand people's anger about Mina not being in the tournament, especially if we don't get any AEW talent in the 5-star Grand Prix this year, because ultimately it would very much look like, okay, so you've taken Mina away, but what do we get? Especially as Mina, you look a couple of months ago, Matt, we were outlining Mina as a possible favourite to win the tournament, at least go deep into the tournament. So to take someone of that standing out is a big deal for Stardom, and hopefully, we get a similar caliber of talent if it is going to be a talent swap for that time. I do worry that, taking her out of Stardom's Premier Tournament does sort of allude to possibly coming up to the end of her contract in March. I believe the Stardom contracts run to. You could be looking at Mina going to AEW full-time, which is fantastic for her, amazing for her, will be crap for Stardom, don't get me wrong, but for her, amazing. However, this is all conjecture at the moment. We don't know. I agree with you wholeheartedly. If she's not going to be in the tournament, that needs to be announced. I think everyone is sort of taking it as a given at this point anyway, because she's the only one missing, and it would make literally no sense to then just announce her on her own. It makes no sense. So I think it goes without saying that she's not going to be in this tournament. We'll talk a little bit more in detail about this, Matt, because I am still reeling from that hot take that people on the internet are not rational. I mean, I don't know how you dare have the audacity. One person who definitely won't be, though, Matt, filling one of those spots is Hanako, who President Taro Okada announced will be touring America in August. I am a huge fan of this, a huge fan. Hanako's not going to be in this tournament. Fine. So what are we going to do with her? We're not just going to have her in throwaway undercard tags. Okay, we're going to take her to America, where she is going to learn different styles of wrestling with different people wrestling in front of different audiences, learn her craft, develop a style, because me and you have spoken many times, Matt, about how much Hanako is improving. If you imagine that she is going to have a month in America wrestling different people, learning different styles, learning different moves, learning to get over with different crowds, this is only beneficial for Hanako. And I personally think this is a great move in terms of her development.
100% on board with you. Again, it looks like she's going to America. More than likely, so is Mina going to be going to America to do AEW stuff. It'd be nice to see them maybe do some other stuff other than outside of AEW and Ring of Honor. Maybe some GCW stuff like we saw with Utami last year. Maybe some indies, instead of performing in front of, the crowds in front of 5,000, 6,000 people, get them in front of the American crowds that are, drawing maybe 200-300 people, like in the more, what's the word I'm looking for? The more impactful audiences that are kind of everything's right up there. I think that'd be really well. And if, again, you made a great point. If she's not going to be in the five-star Grand Prix, why have her in kind of random matches? And it looks like majority of these five-star Grand Prix shows are going to be all five-star Grand Prix matches because of just we have all these wrestlers and these four brackets, and the fact that we're getting this done in 3-4 weeks. I'm assuming 90% of these matches on the card are going to be five-star Grand Prix. So, yeah, if Hanako is not in the five-star Grand Prix, send her over to America. And I'll even do you one better, partner. If Momo Kogo is not going to be the five-star Grand Prix, send her over to America as well. She speaks great English. She can help with the language barriers. And we've seen her wrestle in the States a handful of times before. And she's massively over with the American audience. So again, I'm hoping Momo Kogo is in this five-star Grand Prix. Obviously, there's only 4 spots remaining, so we're going to be disappointed regardless in one way or another that so-and-so's not in this tournament. But yeah, we get the Mayus, we got Tomoka Inaba. I mean, hello, and that's fantastic. May Sarah's in this tournament. Obviously, she wasn't in there last year because she just came back to Stardom back in April of last year. So there's a lot of new faces and fresh faces in this tournament. But again, if you're not going to have Momo Kogo in this tournament, again, fingers crossed, I hope that she is in the tournament. But I understand if she's not, send her over with Mina, send her over with Hanako. And not only that, you can have 6-person tag matches on like AEW TV. Who wouldn't want to see Mina teaming with Hanako and Momo Kogo to take on like Anna Jay, Sky Blue, and, like a Deonna Purrazzo or something like that. Or throw Thunder Rose on one of the other sides or something like that. I think that'd be really, really cool to see like the Stardom wrestlers in the ring, like 3 of them or 4 of them in the ring opposite some of these other stars that we've been seeing on AEW TV for the last year or two. So I'm all for it, and I have again, the 5-star Grand Prix, we're loaded with the talent. Stardom is a busy promotion in the month of August. If you're not using some of the wrestlers, instead of having them in throwaway matches or having them sit on the sidelines, yeah, send them over here to the States. You've done a great job with Mina Shirakawa. Every time that she's on AWTV, we see it pops a rating. I mean, the numbers don't lie. She had better ratings than the Young Bucks segments did, a couple weeks in a row over on AWTV. So it's just going to show people are watching this talent over from Stardom because it's something different they're not seeing on the American TV screen. And then Hanako, it's just a big plus for her. The fact if she gets on a Collision or a Rampage or a Dynamite, and she's going to be seen by over 500,000 people, and the fact that she's only been wrestling a little over a year, that's not a bad gig, partner. Not a bad gig.
Just looking ahead at the Stardom calendar then, President Okada also announced some title matches, 6 title matches in something of a roadmap of where we're going in July. Obviously, we have got 2 pay-per-views, 2 back-to-back pay-per-views in Sapporo on the 27th and 28th of July, but we've also got another Corrigan Hall show, Stardom basically taking up a Las Vegas-style residency at Corrigan Hall at the moment, with the latest show, the 23rd of July, is going to have 2 championship matches on it. First of all, the Goddess of Stardom Championships match, Konami and Shiori, the champions, making their first defense against the Iwate team of Momo Watanabe and Tekla. Again, assuming Tekla doesn't beat anyone else up outside the venue. We've also got New Blood Tag Team Championships, the Wingori team of Hana and Sairida defending against Rina and Azusa Inaba. The 27th of July show, the Wonder Rendezvous. You will have a Future of Stardom Championship match. Rina, the champion, defending against Rani Yagami with a chance to become outright the most winningest of Future of Stardom champions. That will make her 10th defense, and she will go 1 clear of Hanan. And then, of course, the Wonder of Stardom Championship. The winner of Mikari Iwate and Shiori Ano will take on the new number 1 contender, Natsupoi. And then on the 28th, the following day, the World Rendezvous, Saya Kamatani will make her 2nd title defense of the High Speed Championship against Mei Seira. Yes, please. And then in your main event, the World of Stardom Championship, Maika, the champion, will defend against Natsuko Tora. So we've got an idea, Matt, of what July is going to look like as we head, quite quickly now towards 5-star season. The story, congratulations, Stardom. You made this story between Shiori Ano and Natsupoi very, very, very interesting. I'm also really, really excited to see how Konami and Shiori versus Iwate goes. I think Rina and Azusa Inaba going for the New Blood tag titles will be really good. And do you know what? I think Rani Yagami is going to surprise a lot of people with just how well she does in that Future of Stardom Championship match against Rina. Don't think she'll win, but I think she's going to give a very, very, very good account of herself, Matt.
Yeah, real quick, my man. You know what? I don't like to correct you, but you said Saya's 2nd defense. This will be 3rd. You forgot about Queen Clown. She wrestled Queen Clown. She had a successful defense against Ida and then Queen Clown. So this is her 3rd defense at the High Speed Championship.
How
Sorry, partner.
Dare I? I cannot believe I forgot about the Queen Clown. I'm retiring.
No, we need you. We need you, Rob. So here's the thing. It's just like we're all jacked for the 5-star Grand Prix, right? Like, hell yeah, August is going to be great for us Stardom fans and wrestling fans. And then they're like, hold on. We're not done yet. We're not at the 5-star Grand Prix yet. We're going to give you a show every 4 days at Corkin Hall, and then we're going to give you 2 back. We're going to give you 2 back-to-back pay-per-views with 7 championship matches between now and the 5-star Grand Prix. Yeah, boy howdy. I mean, Sherry and Konami as a tag team, we've seen them. Obviously, we'll review it when we do the Stardom cast this week. They're just absolutely just killers. Those 2 as a tag team, they're fantastic. Great story with Miko Wada, Natsupoi, and Soriano. Obviously, we'll discuss more on the Stardom cast when we record later this week or tomorrow. That now all of a sudden we're going to throw Hazuki in the mix for the Wonder of Stardom Championship. Yes, please. The tag division's red hot. Great. Wingori. They're defending against Rina and Azusa Inaba. Absolutely, we'll take that. I do believe, as much as I love me some Saya Kamatani, I think that Mei Seira is going to win back the High Speed Championship, and rightfully so, because I think Saya is going to start her real big redemption arc coming in the 5-star Grand Prix, whether that means she wins the whole tournament or she just has a really, really good run. I think it's time for Saya to get into that red belt scene, that main event scene, and pretty much stay there. Like your Mayus, your Tams, your Micahs, so on and so forth. Micah Natsuko Tora, that's going to be a hard hitter of a match. And regardless of who comes out of the Sendai Girls show coming up in about a week's time, whether it's Miko Wada or Soriano, the fact that you have Natsupoi waiting in the wings. I didn't mean to do that, like the pixie wings, I guess. Pun intended. Regardless of what match we get, it's going to be a great match. So a lot of really interesting things, because the way it could go, Rob, is maybe Soriano and Miko Wada, maybe they go into that time limit draw like I'm predicting, and then maybe Natsupoi is able to defeat Miko Wada for the belt, and then Soriano defeats Miko Wada in the 5-star Grand Prix, and then we get this kind of Poi, Owada, and Soriano continually chasing the Wonder of Stardom Championship coming off the 5-star Grand Prix. I got no problem with that, but there's a lot of really cool irons in the fire for Stardom. A lot of really good stuff coming up, my man. Like I said, considering the fact of we have some really cool stories going on, and then you add in the fact you have a loaded 5-star Grand Prix, a loaded tag division, and the fact that we're actually doing something. We're pushing the young talent. We're pushing the rookies. And again, we'll talk about it more on the Stardom cast, because I love the Tekla and Sayaka Kurora angle they did at Cork and Hall. I'm really loving that. So a lot of really cool stuff coming, and the fact that we're hitting this really great creative wave, from the booking committee, and it's taking us right into a loaded 5-star Grand Prix. And the fact that, Rob, we get to review all of it on the Stardom cast. How lucky are we, brother? How lucky are we?
You aren't wrong, my friend. You really aren't. Flitting back to Marigold before we delve into these shows. First things first, they released the images of the victory trophies that are going to be presented to the United National Champion and the Superfly Champion alongside the belts. Now, I'm sure those of you who have watched Stardom will be familiar with the winner being presented with that massive trophy, the enormous trophy that's almost as big as they are. These are more subtle in terms of size. However, they are beautiful, aren't they, Matt? They've got the silver one for the United National Champion and then a gold one for the Superfly Champion. I am a big fan of these trophies.
One of the many things that caught my eye when I got to Japanese wrestling in '96 was whenever somebody wins, they get the trophy. You remember when Kabashi first beat Masawa, he got this trophy that was like half the size of him. I'm like, man, that's really cool. I'm like, oh boy, those people that have to go back to America, like, some of your foreign wrestlers that would go back to America. I was like, how do they fit that in the suitcase? And that's a question that to this day I never got answered. But I've always been a big fan of the trophies. And obviously we've seen it in Stardom that whenever there's a successful title defense or a title change, not only do they get the belt, but they get the trophy. It's very, very like old school sports, makes it that much more important. And the fact that Rossi is going to follow suit and do that as well with Marigold, it's just going to make this show on Saturday and the entire promotion just that much better. It's a lot of little things and a few big things that you can do right that make your company and your show stand out. And the fact that we're going to see some trophy presentation after these all fantastic matches, it's just going to make everything so much more important, just make this show feel like the show of shows.
Yeah, and if you are going to Ryogoku, if you are lucky enough to go and watch Summer Destiny, then you'll be able to see these trophies on display before the show. Final thing then, before we delve into the shows we want to talk about, and this is the biggest news for me, but on sale apparently at Ryogoku will be Marigold's first CD, Marigold Rise. It's going to be all of the entrance themes on a CD, and I know that when Marigold Feels Forever aired, people were like, oh, the themes aren't as good as the Stardom ones. And actually, the more I've listened to them, the more I think, geez, they have got some absolute bangers. Miku Aono's theme's brilliant. Natsumi Shozuki's theme is brilliant. Mirai's new one, yeah, okay, it might not be quite be as good as a Storm, but still a really good one. I'm a really big fan of Nagisa Nozaki's as well. There are some absolute banger themes, but none of them are quite as good as Koki Amare's, which is still the gold standard, the Marigold standard of Marigold. Look at that. Of Marigold themes, man. I'm well excited to be able to listen to these.
I didn't see that the CD was available. I thought you were going to say the baseball jerseys with the numbers were available. They all kind of had their own
I did
color
see
scheme.
that. Yes, I did see that. Yeah, because Kokiamare's is purple, isn't it?
Yeah, so obviously I saw the T-shirts were on sale, right? And obviously I would probably get Utami, right? Because she's my favorite wrestler, Marigold. The number 3 on the back. I was like, I don't need any more wrestling shirts, but I don't need any more. Yeah, I
No,
really,
you really
don't. Oh my, between wrestling shirts and comic shirts, I mean, it's just insane. And people are constantly like, oh well, he likes Captain America. Let's get him a Captain America shirt for Christmas. I'm like, please just stop. Please just don't. But but I was like, obviously I want to represent the company. I want to show support to the company, Marigold. Again, we cover it every week, obviously on this podcast, the Marigold Standard. It's something that I want to show support. So eventually, I'm going to have to get not have to. I'm definitely going to get I was going to get one of those black shirts with Marigold, probably Utami on the back, and I was like, those baseball jerseys are sweet. And then I'm like, oh, I'm definitely going to get the Utami one. I'm like, oh, the Kokiamare one looks really cool. I was like, oh, the Miko Ono one looks really, really cool. I'm like, I don't know which one I want. I was like, but I am more than likely going to get one of those baseball jerseys because I can kind of put it in a different part of my room because the baseball jersey, like the Queen's Quest one I have, that one goes on the hangers next to my work shirts because I can't crumble that up in a ball because it's made with nicer materials. So maybe that's kind of the excuse I'm telling myself in my head that I'll just start getting baseball jerseys instead of shirts. I don't know, but I don't know. We'll see what happens. We'll find out. When I purchase one of these. But no, the Marigold themes there are a lot of bangers in there, especially the Marigold theme, the one that you partner put in the beginning of this podcast. So great job on that, my man. You are an edit king. But yeah, there is some really low key, really cool stuff. Like Utami's theme is awesome. Is it as good as her last 2 Stardom themes? Probably not. But then again, at the same time, we've only seen Utami coming out to this theme over the last 3 months. We're used to coming out to the theme that she used to have, the Rite of Flowers and the Crusade from like 2020 up until she left the company just a couple months ago. So, some of these things they may have to grow on us. But no, the fact that they do have some really, really cool themes already, and the fact that we're going physical media, my man. I love me some physical media that we're getting it on CD. So I wonder if it's going to be released on an iTunes or something like that soon. I guess we shall see. But now it's really cool that they're getting more and more merchandising out because that's just another form of revenue, of income, not only to the company, but to whoever the producers are and obviously the girls for the shirts and the baseball jerseys as well. So yeah, good on them. Another streamlining, another style of revenue.
Yeah, absolutely. And currently, you've got Julia in black, Utami with a red one with black writing, Miku Ono with red and white writing, and then Kokiamare with purple. They will be on sale at Ryogoku. Hopefully there will be some on the store as well. And I know that Marigold are currently putting out a lot of stuff that is going to be on sale at Ryogoku as well, obviously, as they pad out their merchandise ready for this big show. Speaking of shows, let's delve into the first one we're going to be talking about today, the tail end of the grand opening Wars Tour, Night 8 from Sendai Pit on the 29th of June 2024. 329 people in attendance. Just for some comparison, the last time Stardom ran Sendai Pit on the 31st of May, they drew 240 people. However, when they ran there in March, they did draw over 400. So make of that what you will. I'd argue that 329 is a decent attendance at Sendai Pit. The results are as follows. Singles match, Chiaki defeats Komomo Minami in 11 minutes and 14 seconds with the Argentine Buster. In a tag team match, Bozilla and Myla Grace defeated Naoya Ishikawa and Natsumi Shozuki in 10 minutes and 53 seconds. Bozilla flat out murdering Ishikawa with a sit-out powerbomb. In a singles match, Kokiamare defeated Victoria Yuzuki in 10 minutes and 6 seconds with the Amethyst Butterfly. Tag team match, Mai Sakurai and Utami Hayashishita defeated the team of Nagisa Nozaki and Zeta Steel in 6 minutes and 52 seconds with a move I refuse to name. Genuinely, I've done nothing but sort of fawn over how good my Sakurai has become and how improved she is. And then she goes up to the top rope, and I'm like, please don't. Please don't. And I willed it to be her guillotine leg drop, which I swear she's only used like twice. I'm like, come on, break out the guillotine. Oh, it's the diving elbow drop. And poor Zeta Steel, who is one of only 3 people on the entire roster yet to register a victory. She's put away with that elbow drop.
Is this the biggest heel turn in wrestling for you, Rob? Is that my Sakurai, who we've been singing her praises the last 3 or 4 shows, the fact that she just turned, she didn't turn heel on her partner or anybody on the roster. She turned heel on you, buddy. And and not only did she hit it, she gets a 3 count with it. And I was like, I literally pumped my fist in the air. I was so happy because I'm like, Rob, this is going to make for some great podcasting material. He's going to be so upset. So I have to ask you, in your opinion, 6 months in this year, is this the biggest heel turn in wrestling?
Oh, God, yeah. Absolutely. You can take your Solo Sikoa's hijacking of the bloodline, and this beats it hands down. I feel like this now is becoming very personal between me and my Sakurai. I feel like she listens, and she's like, you know what? Just to wind him up, I'm going to hit the diving elbow drop. I was just, oh, God's sake. Because it had been a good match before then, but I was just, oh, bloody hell. Singles match, passion injection match. Nanae Takahashi defeats Chika Goto in 13 minutes and 22 seconds with a sliding D. And then we complete the trilogy, Matt. Marigold United National Title Tournament. First round rematch. The third in the set. Mirai and Miko Ano go to another 15-minute time limit draw. They get 5 minutes overtime, and they once again go to a time limit draw. And I think it's only right we start with this main event before we talk about anything else on the card, Matt, because you said, obviously, when we recorded the Stardom cast, we didn't record a Marigold Standard last week because the shows hadn't gone up, so there was no point. But you said, I'm a little bit wary of running a third rematch because, quite rightly, you said the more that you do things, the more diluted it's going to be. However, I feel like each of these 3 matches have been so different and have offered different things and have actually done really well in building up both women ahead of whoever it is that goes on to face Bozilla or Ryogoku, that you can't help but love this pairing. Whether it's the desperation of Miko Ano to finish it early, like charging Mirai before the match even begins. You got Mirai literally choking Miko Ano out with a ring jacket. We've never seen Mirai act like that before. And then, of course, the lovely sort of lineup of the fact that Miko Ano has the pinfall win in the 15-minute match, but the bell rings, and then we flip it with Mirai having it won, but the bell rings in the additional time. I love this pairing. I think it's great. I think they work really, really well together. I think it's the right call because not only are you putting both women over, you're putting over the desire for the championship and you're putting over the prestige of the championship before you've even had a champion. Neither of these women want to lie down. The resiliency is there. And ultimately, I think that spoilers, for our preview later on, I think that resiliency and that refusal to go down will ultimately be what costs the winner the belt against Bozilla at Ryogoku. Nevertheless, absolutely loved this matchup. Again, we saw a completely different side of both women. I gave it 4.5 stars, Matt. I think this and the second match have been absolutely tremendous. Very, very good follow-ons from that first match. And do you know what? We laugh about time limit draws. We laugh about Rossi's love of time limit draws. We laugh about it all the time. But these 3 time limit draws have really worked, and I did not think they would.
Each match has gotten better.
Yeah, agreed.
Each match has gotten better. We really enjoyed the first one. The second one was really good, and this third one was even better. Mm-hmm. And literally, again, I know there's some of the wrestling fans that are like, "Wow, we're gonna have a 4th match now." I'm like, if you watch them, you're like, as I mentioned at the beginning of the show, there's an old saying: "Too much of a good thing could be a bad thing." This is the exception of the rule because as loaded as this show on Saturday is, this is a matchup I'm looking forward to almost as much as Julian Sari and Utami Hayashishita versus Io. Considering the fact those are two first-time matchups, and we're getting this match for the fourth time in, like, I don't know, what, 5-6 weeks, give or take. And I'm like, I don't care. I'm all for it. Not only that, when eventually one of these ladies does win the white belt, you can run this match back at V1, V5, V6, V7, flip the belt. You got no problem with it because you know that it works. You know what it works. And sometimes wrestling can be really, really simple. If you just lay stuff out, if you just take a step back and like, let's just lay all this out. Yeah, this makes sense. Having 3 time limit draws and then going to a fourth match in Sumo Hall makes sense for the story, as long as you're watching match 1 and then match 2 and then match 3, and then you're going to get this match at a huge show that has a huge story on it as one Io Shirai, because the wrestling world, all eyes on the wrestling world are going to be on Sumo Hall. Why wouldn't you put this match on, right? It makes sense. We know it worked 1 time, let's do it again. It worked 2 times, let's do it again. The 3rd time was even the best, let's do it again. Why wouldn't you put your best matches on that big show? So you have the biggest opportunity to succeed and to get repeat business of wrestling fans coming back to watch the Marigold show. So the Marigold promotion. So yeah, it makes perfect sense. And you hit it right on you hit the nail right on the head, partner, how the the first 15-minute time limit, if it just went 3 seconds longer, Miko Ano would have won because she hit the Styles Clash. We go to overtime. If it was just 3 or 4 seconds longer, Mirai would have won because she hit that brutal lariat. So again, very much like match 1 and 2, match 3, if I'm judging it on an MMA scale because it went to time limit, probably still a draw. You literally had these two wrestle for 60 minutes, and it's probably 30 minutes for Mirai, 30 minutes for Miko Ano. Do you know how difficult that is? And to tell that story to the point where, like, I'm fine with this match again. Let's do it again. So excellent stuff. And I knew this match went to a draw because this match wasn't live, and the results were on social media within hours. But I wouldn't have known that if this was live, or if I didn't, if I stayed away from spoilers, because the way that this match started with the pace, I'm like, no way they're going another 15. Like, Miko Ano was just like, I'm tired of wrestling Mirai. I've wrestled her 30 times. I want this match over as soon as possible. And she jumps Mirai. And you mentioned Mirai, who we've been covering since early 2022 when she made her debut in Stardom. So we've been covering her for well over 3 years. We've never obviously she's a very aggressive wrestler because that's her style. We've never seen her use a kind of like a weapon like she was doing with her jacket to choke Miko Ano out, because it just goes to show how important this match is, because they want to walk out of Sumo Hall as the United Champion. So it just really goes to show how bad these two wrestlers want it. And again, partner, I am all for this 4th match, and the fact that we're doing these 4 matches pretty much back to back to back to back means there's no lull, and the fact that it's fresh in everybody's mind. And we'll get to it when we talk about the show from the 6th. We got a little bit of a preview in that main event as well. So it's like, even though they had 3 singles matches, they still even gave us a little bit of a preview heading into Sumo Hall. I absolutely loved it. 4.5 stars to me. Outside of the Nanai versus Utami match at Corkin Hall, and the first main event of the very first Marigold show with Julia and Utami taking on Bozil and Sari. This is the best match that they've had in the 3-month history they've been running. As far as Marigold is what I'm talking about. Mirai, again, we know her entire catalog the last 3 years. This is a top 5 or 6 match for me in her catalog. And she's got a catalog of some great matches, and I have a feeling that this match in Sumo Hall is going to be even better. Again, 4.5 stars for me. Brilliant booking, brilliant wrestling from these two phenomenal pro wrestlers.
I think something that's really important is that one of the criticisms I've seen about the Marigold cards is that we're getting a lot of the same matchups. However, when you've got a young company and a rather small roster, or a comparatively small roster when you compare it to that of Stardom, who've used, already something like 70 wrestlers this year, you are looking to build stories. You're looking to build alliances. You're looking to build organic rivalries. And that's what they're doing with Miko Ano and Mirai. It's not just a case of, right, well, we're going to do this for the United National Championship and then we're never going to touch it again. you can quite easily reignite this feud later on, whether it's for a belt, whether it's for a championship, whether it's if Marigold have their version of the 5-star Grand Prix, you can have that, and you can make them these generational rivals that in the years to come, you can trace it back to this moment and say, they have literally been fighting since the start of the company. They are synonymous with the company, and I really, really like that. And actually, if you look at, the same matchups, he says in inverted commas, what we've got now is Nao Ishikawa teaming with Nanae Takahashi. Nanae looks like she's having the most fun she's had in years, and I think Nao Ishikawa only emphasizes that. I think that's a perfect team. You've got the heel team now, or the heelish team, should I say, of Nagisa Nozaki and Chiaki. So and then I think personally that this is the best run of shows that Myla Grace has had. And I think that's because she's been teaming with Bozilla. And you've got these relationships that are now developing. So these, in inverted commas, again, same matchups, are taking a completely, or are coming across completely differently because the rest of the wrestlers and their relationships are developing. And that's why this match, even though we've run it back, this will have been the third time, I'm not tired of it. I'm not bothered by it because it's offering something different. And again, it helps that you've got two fantastic in-ring competitors in Miko Ano and Mirai. They're both absolutely tremendous. But nevertheless, really, really, really good match. We'll talk a little bit about the fourth match when we get to our Ryogoku preview in a little bit. But Matt, what else do you want to talk about on this card from the 29th?
I thought everything else was good. There was nothing that really was blow away. To me, this was again, everybody worked hard. I had every match 1 through 5, 3.5 stars. I was just looking back over my notes last night, and I was like, wow, I had everything 3.5 stars. And then, of course, the main event was 4.5 stars. So there was, again, nothing that was really blow away on the undercard to me. If I had to pick what match was my favorite, other than, of course, the main event, I would say Kyoki Amare versus Vittoria Yuzuki. I think that might be the standout. Again, everything, if these Marigold shows you can get them done in 2 hours, and it's great. And again, it's nice to see the talent. You're seeing them getting better from show to show. You mentioned Myla Grace. Her and Zeta Steel, where they were at now compared to where they were at show 1, show 2, show 3. I mean, you can see how much time that they're putting into the dojo and learning the craft of Japanese pro wrestling, of Joshi wrestling, because they are so much better now than they were when this company first started just 3 months ago. So that's always really cool to see. I'm a big fan of people that are improving at their craft, as long as they're obviously putting their heart into it and their time into it. It really shows there, for lack of a better word, passion. But again, nothing really blow away on the undercard. But if you're looking for just another one of the match to watch, to me, it'd be Koki Amare versus Vittoria Yuzuki.
I thought that was really good. I thought, actually, we are going to probably mention Myla Grace again for just how improved she is over these cards. But I think another one who is really improved is Komomo Minami. I thought she did really well in all 3 of the matches that she had, whether that was with Chiaki, whether it was when she was being absolutely brutalized by Natsumi Shozuki in that second show, or again, a completely different type of match, that comedy style setting with Momoka Hanazono on the third show. That we're going to talk about on the 6th. I think she's doing tremendously well. Even over the course of these 3 shows, you saw the crispness in which she's getting into that arm bar, for example. That's developing really, really well. She's breaking out the lucha arm drag, which seems to be a staple of early Joshi wrestling when you're early in your career. And I think she is slowly but surely coming to terms as well. Again, she debuted at the last Corrigan Hall show, which was June. So she's months into her career, but a big shout out to Komomo Minami because I think she is developing really, really well. Really, really impressed with her. I just want to mention Nanae Takahashi and Chikagoto as well. I thought this was really good. The only thing I thought Chikagoto looked like she'd had her bell rung in this match. And I don't know if it's just me, but she hit the ropes with her head and sort of was out of it for a while. Seemed to recover really well. But yeah, it was just something to keep an eye on because that was a little bit of a concern, I'm not going to lie. But yes, basically, if we are summarising this card, go out of your way to go and watch the third match between Mikuano and Mirai. It is really, really good. Everything else is good, but it's not compulsory viewing. However, as Matt said, if you have got time to watch it, definitely go back and check out Koki Amare and Victoria Yuzuki. And I would just keep an eye on Komomo Minami because I do think she's improving really, really well. Let's move on then to night 9 of the Grand Opening Wars Tour, the Mirai Triumphal Return show from the 30th of the 6th, 2024, Miyako Iwate in the Miyako City C Arena. 676 people apparently in attendance, and these are the results. In the singles match, Natsumi Suzuki defeated Komomo Minami in 9 minutes and 1 second with the highest of high-angled lion tamers. In a singles match, Miku Ano defeated Victoria Yuzuki in 10 minutes and 55 seconds with the double underhook suplex. In a three-way match, Chika Goto versus Koki Amare versus Nagisa Nozaki ended in a 15-minute time limit draw. In a tag team match, Nanae Takahashi and Nao Ishikawa defeated the team of Bozilla and Myla Grace, Nanae Takahashi pinning Myla Grace with the refrigerator bomb in 14 minutes and 33 seconds, giving Nao Ishikawa her first victory as a member of the Marigold roster. And then in your main event, Mei Sakurai and the hometown girl Mirai defeated Chiaki and Utami Hayashishite in 18 minutes and 24 seconds with the lariat. So first things first, I think it's very obvious. Bless me.
Yes. God bless Rob. It's very obvious, folks. So God bless Rob Goodwin. God bless all you great listeners out there. See how I use that into a segue, buddy?
Love it. Absolutely love it. I think it's very obvious why Chiaki turned heel. Now, obviously, it wasn't a definitive heel turn, but her and Nagisa Nozaki both interfered in each other's matches, which sort of hint that we are developing the heelish faction of the two, which is great because I've been calling out for Chiaki to develop that side of herself. You know, she's a good wrestler, but she seems to be a little bit of a heel, but seems to be really happy when she comes to the ring, waving at the crowd and everything. What are you? Are you a heel? Are you a tweener? Are you a baby face? Define it. And I think she's starting to now, so I'm really, really happy about that. But I think it's fair to say that this all stems from the fact that Utami got a rose at the start from that little lad, and then Mirai got something at the start from that little lad. Chiaki got nothing, Matt. I think this is a vindicated heel turn from Chiaki.
Yeah, again, it would make sense considering the fact that she didn't get anything. So she's like the person that's left out. Now, again, it's nowhere near as big as my Sakurai's heel turn against you, Rob Goodwin, which again, that's a 7-hour podcast
Absolutely.
that we can get into. And I don't want to break your heart, buddy. So, but no, it's nice that we're establishing baby faces and heels. Sometimes you may not want to do it the first few shows because you want to see who's going to react to what, like what crowd is going to react to what. But the fact that we have Nagisa Nozaki clearly heel being very, very aggressive on certain things, and you can just tell from her interest she kind of has that suave aura to her that a heel would have, and that we're getting that now with Chiaki. Excuse me. So, and they work really well together as a tag team. So, as we're coming off Sumo Hall, we're going to start building the tag division a little bit more to go for those United Tag Team Championships, and we're starting to see certain tag teams that are being formed, and maybe that's the way they go. Obviously, we'll get into in a little bit. But I want to see Nanae Takahashi and Nao Ishikawa as a permanent tag team because I think that's a great place to have a legend that can still obviously go. And Takahashi, Nao Ishikawa, is still trying to find her footing in Marigold, but very impressive inside and out of the ring. The fact that she'll have somebody, teaching her little ins and outs of pro wrestling, and the fact that she can do it in the apron and while they're in the same corner while Takahashi's on the apron and in the ring as well. Now Ishikawa is only going to get better. But yeah, we're starting to see these tag teams being formed a little bit. And again, partner, I'm a huge fan, as you know, of tag team wrestling. And from what we're seeing here on this weekend shows, if these are some of the teams that we're going to be having in our tag division, boy howdy, I'm super excited for it.
Yeah, absolutely. And I want to come back to Nanae and Nao Ishikawa because their match with Bozilla and Myla Grace was actually my favorite match on this card.
Yeah, me too. Yeah.
But I just want to talk a little bit about Utami because everyone is focusing on her match with Io Sky, and rightly so. It's a Joshi dream match we never thought we'd get. However, when you define the word ace, I mean, for example, you, Matt, how would you define the ace of a company? Because we automatically assume Utami is the ace. Victoria Yuzuki has come out and said she wishes to be a future ace. And I think quite a few people would define being an ace of a company as being very good in the ring. And whilst that's certainly a facet of it, to me, that's not what it is. What does the word ace mean to you?
It means that whenever you're asked to do something, not only in the ring, out of the ring, an interview, promo pictures, a magazine interview, a podcast, anything like that, you are representing the company, and your bosses, the people that are investing money into you and the company, they know that you will absolutely ace it out of the park. That's why you're called the ace. And Utami Hayashishita is that for me. She was that for Stardom. She's clearly that for me for Marigold. And we'll talk about it when we talk about the main event of the next show, because get into it more, where it's just like, that's what Utami does. She delivers. Not only does she get Utami Hayashishita over, she gets over whoever else is in the ring, not only across the ring, but in the corner as well. And again, the fact that she is able to interact as well as she does with the crowd, and the fact that she literally did that from when she debuted back in 2018. And for our Patreon listeners, we had a phenomenal roundtable discussion with Karen Peterson that came out last week, where we talked a lot about that. Utami delivers in every aspect of Utami Hayashishita. Again, not only in the ring, but the promos, what she's able to do on the entrance as well. It's like, that when you hear that music and she cuts the curtain, you're in for an absolutely fantastic match. And it doesn't matter if it's Io Shirai standing across the ring from her, or it doesn't matter if it's, and I don't mean this to be derogatory, but like Maya Sakurai. She's not on the level of Io Shirai, is what I mean. You're going to get a great match. It doesn't matter if it's a singles match, if it's a tag match, if it's a six-person match. We've seen it again in Stardom. How many times have we seen, obviously, great singles wrestler tagging when she was tagging with Saya Kamatani, even with the Zumi, with Momo Watanabe earlier in her career. And then if you get those Queen's Quest 6-person, 8-person, or 10-person tags, that even though she might not be doing majority of the work, she's directing traffic to get this person over, that person over, this person over. Whenever Utami Hayashishita is put in the spot, whether it's in or out of the ring, her and the company that she works for is going to come out better. To me, that is the ace, not only of professional wrestling, but just in any business in general, Rob.
I really could not have put it better myself, because that's what it means to me as well, especially that, people are better for being in the ring with her. And I think, yes, she has been in quite a few what people might argue are throwaway tags. However, in those tag team matches, she is allowing so many people to be themselves and getting them over that actually so many people are benefiting from having Utami in the company, and that for me is what an ace is. And this was, this is exactly what it was here as well. Whether it's teaming with Chiaki or whether it was teaming with Mai Sakurai on the first show that we were talking about. I feel like everyone looks better, is better when you have Utami in the ring. Coupled with that, her just general aura and general just intangibles that make her this superstar, and you really do have the makings of one of the biggest aces in company history. However, this semi-main Matt. So I don't think Bozilla and Nanae Dagashi like each other terribly much, because Bozilla took absolutely no prisoners with some of those chair shots. One in particular that she delivered to Nanae's head, I was convinced the poor woman would never get up again. It was brutal. And you could see even Julia, because Julia and Rossi were sat on the hard cam, and it was very difficult not to see Julia because she was wearing, I believe Nanae and now are calling themselves the Passion Sisters. They'd given her one of their really, really bright green shirts, so she was wearing that. So it was really difficult not to pick her up in the last two matches. But she was loving it. She was laughing. She was cheering. She was proper getting into this match because Bozilla and Nanae just beat the living hell out of each other. And Matt, I am all here for that.
Yeah, you mentioned a little bit ago that Rossy Ogawa is not going to be working with any other wrestling company, like maybe outside of WWE. But it looked like to me this match was booked by Oedo Tai in the best way possible because no, and I kid. This was my second favorite match of these three shows we're going to talk about. This was great, and I had no idea that the match I want to see coming off Sumo Hall is. I'm assuming, from what we've talked about off air, I'm assuming both me and you have Bozilla walking out as the white belt champion. To me, and again, we'll get into that. We'll get into that later. But I didn't know the match that I want to see the most is Bozilla versus Nanae Takahashi for that belt. Because it's like, boy, howdy, we kind of set something up here. This is something that it's like, even if they didn't mean to set it up, you have clearly lightning in a bottle and you have something people want to see and that both wrestlers are going to benefit from. Obviously, we talked about how great Myla Grace has been over these last few shows. I love the chemistry of her and Bozilla, how they work together, considering the fact they literally have like nothing in common. Like Bozilla is, and I'm a big fan of Bozilla's like Titantron screen where she's literally like Godzilla. I think that's absolutely hilarious. And Myla Grace is like all poppy coming out and just like so sweet. And Bozilla looks like she's going to absolutely kill everybody that's in her way, but they make it work. Literally to the point where the show that the show on the 6th, where Bozilla was trying not to break. You could see it in her face. She was trying not to break the character, and Myla Grace got her to break just a little bit, which I thought was terrific. Again, these two, as far as their wrestling personality goes, they shouldn't work, but they do, and I just love the team that is Bozilla and Myla Grace. I mentioned a little bit ago. Now Ishikawa and Nanae Takahashi team so well together, and I'm hoping this is where they go. The fact that they put these two in a tag team, and again, they already have a name. We have fancy bright shirts. It looked like, I think it was like bright orange towels they come out with. I think that's the way they're going, which I'm all for. Again, now Ishikawa was terrific. Myla Grace was terrific. Now and Nanae Takahashi, their teamwork stuff I thought was great. But yeah, I mean, the crux of this match is just that ECW Cork and Hall style brawl through the crowd with Bozilla and Nanae Takahashi. And these two were not giving an inch. Literally to the point, it's like, oh boy, like we need to build something off these two because clearly this is money. This is going to draw eyes. This is going to draw tickets. This was absolutely terrific. The crowd was so into this from the moment the bell rang to the final bell, just because of the sheer violence we were getting. And again, it wasn't anything that looked choreographed. This looked like an actual real fight between the two harder hitters of this match. I had a 4 stars. I absolutely love this, and I'm really hoping that we run this back in a singles match somewhere soon because I think Marigold needs to capitalize off the buzz that's coming off this match between these two wrestlers. And if Bozilla does walk out with the white belt, let's make that the V1. How a great way to get this championship run off to a great start is having Bozilla, her V1, against a legend that can still go, and Nanae Takahashi. Again, partner, great match. My second favorite match of all these shows we're reviewing. 4 stars for me.
I completely agree with you. I think it should be, I don't think it's a spoiler now, but I've got Bozilla coming out of Ryogoku as the white belt champion. I think it would be perfect for her to be matched up with Nanae, and I think this is where Nanae can be used so well. As I mentioned before, if you look at the way that she is in ring, on the way to the ring in Marigold, and how she was in those last couple of matches in Stardom. I'm not saying that there was anything, there might not have been, but for me, the difference is night and day. She seems to be having so much fun in doing what she's doing, and I love the Passion Injection series. I've spouted on both the Stardom cast and the Marigold standard that I think they are extremely helpful to the talent that share a ring with her. However, what I feel the next step of that is her physically taking a person under her wing and really imparting knowledge. We sort of saw it in Stardom with Yuna Mizumori, but then Yuna moved to Cosmic Angels. I think she can really help to develop now Ishikawa. And I completely agree with you, Matt. I want them tagging together as a full-time tag team for the next 2 years, or at least until Nanae retires, because genuinely, I don't want Nanae winning a belt. No disrespect to her at all, but she is that tenured that the best she can do for this company isn't winning a championship. It is helping the younger talent. It is putting over the likes of Bozilla or Utami, people like that. And she's done it perfectly in Marigold so far. I mean, I know that I think she's wrestled something like 13 matches or something like that. Just get my stats up. She's wrestled 9 matches, won 8, lost 1. But that one to Utami was incredibly important. If she were to lose to Bozilla, that would be extremely helpful and would help to galvanize that run for Bozilla as well, and really help to cement her as a badass, a proper badass. And honestly, like I said, I think now Ishikawa could learn so much from being under the tutelage of Nanai, who has literally been there, done that with everything, has literally wrestled in one of the best Joshi wrestling promotions ever in All Japan Women. So a really, really, really good partnership, I think, is developing between those two. And of course, it does help that now was finally able to get a victory as well. A couple of things I want to talk about then. So, obviously, the opener, Natsumi Shozuki and Komomo Minami. Natsumi Shozuki just battered her. And this is why I love Natsumi Shozuki. She's one of my favorites on the roster because she comes to the ring and she looks very, what's the word I'm looking for? Aloof, I think is the best way of describing it. Aloof. And then the bell goes and she just wants to hurt people. And I'm a big fan of that. But yeah, this match, you can go and check that out if you just enjoy watching Natsumi Shozuki beating people up. There's 2 sort of criticisms that I want to address. The first is with Miku Ano versus Victoria Yuzuki. Good match. There was a moment where Victoria Yuzuki, it looked like she was attempting a standing moonsault or a standing shooting star press, I believe. And I saw some discourse on social media about how she's trying too much too quickly. She's being too ambitious with her moveset. And I must admit, I disagree with that. Victoria Yuzuki, we talk about how she's a prodigy. She's, so impressive for where she is. These shows are exactly where you start testing out this offense. Who cares if you mess it up on what is effectively, again, we use this term, house show. Who cares? Like, no one is going to remember this in 2 days' time. Use it here, refine it here, use it at a pay-per-view. That's the whole point of doing reps and things like that. And I'm sorry, but this is the first thing that Victoria Yuzuki has glaringly got wrong in her entire career so far, and she has been wrestling since December. So, yeah, okay, she messed up a running shooting star press. I can't do a running shooting star press. And I know that there are wrestlers who are very, very tenured who can't do a running shooting star press. The fact that she is trying to do that shows how ambitious she is. And I don't think that's a negative at all. Quite the opposite. I think that's such a positive because do you know who else is very ambitious in their moveset? Saya Kamatani. And she's managed to do quite well so far. So, I can see where people are coming from with that. But to me, Matt, I can only see her trying these brand new moves, breaking these brand new moves out as a positive. And again, it's on a Wrestle Universe show. It's not on a pay-per-view. It's not in a championship match. It's second from the bottom in a less than 11-minute match. This is where I want Yuzuki trying these out in the match. And I guarantee she has tried that 3 or 4 times in the dojo and got it perfect. So, again, wrestling isn't perfect sometimes. So, actually, I completely disagree with the too ambitious criticism. What about you, Matt?
Rob, who else on this roster does a running shooting star press?
Nanae Takahashi.
I was waiting. I knew you were going to say no. I knew you were going to throw somebody out there.
Bozilla.
That's what you do. There it is. There, Rossio Gala. And you know what? You mentioned one of my favorites, one Saya Kamatani. I don't think she does the running shooting star press anymore. I don't think she's done it in well over a year.
She hasn't done it in months.
Yeah. I mean, so let's talk about the 2 Joshi promotions that we watch every single match that we cover between Stardom and Marigold. If Victoria Yuzuki can pull this off, then she's the only one that does it. So she's setting herself apart. And folks, you don't know what's going to hit. You don't know what's going to get the audience to pop. And brother, you're probably right. that she's probably attempted this in the dojo a handful of times, and it's probably looked fantastic. It just didn't work here. Does that mean for her to never try it again? No, absolutely not. Again, we've heard this story a million times before. Again, I'm a wrestling historian. How the DDT, a move that's used a million times a show, how it was invented. Jake the Snake, there's no cameras. Jake the Snake had Mr. Wrestling 2 in a front headlock, and he was a babyface, and Mr. Wrestling 2 accidentally stepped on Jake's foot when Jake was stepping back, and he drove his head into the mat, and the place went nuts. And again, that move happened 35, 40 years ago. And it's a move that is, being reinvented and invented and done in certain ways all the time. But the move is the DDT, and it was made on an accident. It was just like, okay, we have something here. So Yuzuki, not only just Vittorio Yuzuki, any of these wrestlers, try something new. You don't know what's going to hit. You don't know what's going to get a reaction from the audience, or what fits in with your moveset, or how in a psychological advantage, or in a psychology way, how you can make that into your match and make it better. So, brother, I'm with you. Try it out. You don't know. She's been wrestling a year. You don't know what's going to hit. She's got a cool finish for the rolling arrow. But ultimately, it's basically it's a catch me when you can type move for a quick roll up, very much like in Azumi Sushi, where she needs a big move to put people away, where people see it, be like, that's it. She can get a good hook of the leg, and then get a good camera shot in the middle of the ring. 1, 2, 3, get you. So, and maybe that's what the running shooting star press is going to be. I don't know, but yeah, partner, I'm with you. Let not only her, but any wrestler that's listening to this podcast, try something new. As long as you're safe with it and it's not going to hurt yourself, and especially your opponent, why not? Because you don't know what is going to hit. So I'm all for it. I thought this match was great. I thought it was terrific. Love to see these two, very much like how we talked about Miko Ano and Mirai. I would love to see these two have a generational feud in the months and years coming up for Marigold. I had it 3 3/4 stars. I thought this match was terrific. This is one of Victoria Yuzuki's her better performances in her short career.
And I think as well, wrestling does go wrong. I mean, even with the shooting star press, think back to WrestleMania 19. Brock Lesnar used to hit the shooting star press regularly. Comes to WrestleMania, gets it wrong, almost knocks himself clean out. It happens. You can be a complete aficionado at something and you can still get it wrong. So, it happens. So let's not pile on. The 3-way time limit draw. This wasn't good. I don't know whether there was some communication issues or what. It definitely didn't need to go 15 minutes. I think the 2.2 rating it's got on Cage Match is a bit harsh. But yeah, this was far too long, Matt.
We're a positive podcast. Next.
Okay.
They tried hard,
They did.
and they're putting their bodies on, the line for our entertainment. So I will, again, in the mortal words of the late great Roddy Piper, anybody that answers a bell, I have the ultimate respect for. And let's just leave it on that.
Yeah, and again, I'm not criticizing by any stretch of the imagination. If you are able to bend over and get into the ropes, you are a better wrestler than I am, and you are a damn sight more flexible. But, I just feel like there was, I don't know, something didn't quite click. But we'll move on because it is a very, very, very rare miss in Marigold's canon. Let's move on then to the final show that we're going to be talking about today, which is the first stop on the Marigold Summer Gold Shine tour from the 6th of July 2024 from the 176 box in Osaka, Japan. 357 people in attendance, which is down from the last time they ran the venue when they got 494 people. The results are as follows. In a singles match, Momoka Hanazono defeated Komomo Minami in 8 minutes and 18 seconds with a roll-up. In a singles match, Victoria Yuzuki finally gets her first singles victory, defeating Zeta Steel in 8 minutes and 15 seconds with the rolling arrow. Pardon me. In a tag team match, Chiaki and Nagisa Nozaki defeated the warring Misa Matsui and Natsumi Shozuki in 11 minutes and 33 seconds with a roll-up reversal after Natsumi Shozuki accidentally buzzsaw kicked Misa Matsui in the head. In a tag team match, in a rematch, should I say, from the previous show, Nanae Takahashi and Naoya Ishikawa defeated Bozilla and Myla Grace. Nanae pinning Myla again in 11 minutes and 23 seconds with the sliding D. And then in a 6-woman tag team main event, Mai Sakurai, Mirai, and Utami Hayashishita defeated the team of Chikagoto, Koki Amare, and Miko Aono in 16 minutes and 18 seconds. Matt, I know you want to talk about the main event and the interactions between Mirai and Miko Aono. What else did you love about this main event?
Again, we mentioned how Utami Hayashishita, you know, on the little you set me up for why I was calling her the ace. She sets up Mai Sakurai up so much in this match, and no disrespect to her. You have Utami Hayashishita, former red belt. Or you have Utami Hayashishita and Mirai, they're main eventers. Between the two of them, red belt champion, white belt champion, multiple goddess runs, winner of the 5-star, winner of the Cinderella between the two. Mai Sakurai never quite got there, right? Again, we've seen her praises quite a bit about how well she has been since or the past like 5 or 6 shows, how well she's improved. But Utami just sets up Sakurai up for so much great stuff here. And I'm like, oh yeah, that's what Utami does. She did in all these Queen's Quest matches. If it was Utami, Asai Kamatani, and like, that's, again, no disrespect, Hina. Because you have the two main eventers, and then you have somebody on the lower card where she's making that person on the lower card look so much better. Like just setting up Sakurai for so much great stuff, which again just goes to show the unselfishness that is Utami Hayashishita. And again, one of the best wrestlers in the world, regardless of gender. So I just thought that was really, really cool how as this match is building towards the end, it's like Utami just setting Sakurai up. I'm like, that's what she does. Not only did she do it in Queen's Quest, she does it here with somebody that she was never in a faction with before. So I thought that was great. Obviously, you do have the Twin Towers and Chikagoto and Koki Amare. They work really well as a team. There was some really cool like tag spots where the two of them had with Mirai and Utami Hayashishita. But the crux of this match, when you break it down to bare bones, was really just more planting the seeds of another Miko Ono versus Mirai match. And again, I'm not tired of it. Obviously, we made mention a little bit ago, their match from the show on the 29th, 4.5 stars, one of the best matches in this company's short history. And the fact that we got a little bit more here just to pump up and how important, how great that match is going to be coming up this weekend, I thought was brilliant. Job done by the booking committee and the wrestlers that put this match together, where they got a little bit of everything over. Again, Utami sets up Sakurai for success. We made the Tokyo Towers look really, really good here. But the main crux of this match and the main event of this show is make sure we get more people invested in Miko Ano versus Mirai. And partner, I'm invested. I'm good to go. I'm ready for it. Can't wait.
It's one of those where, to be honest, I know that we've both said that we are, you know, on the Bozilla train in terms of who we think is coming out of Ryogoku as the white belt champion, but it takes a lot of crowd connection. The fact that I don't care who wins it, whether it's Mirai, whether it's Miko Ano, whether it's Bozilla, I'm not going to be disappointed whoever walks out with the white belt champion, because I know how good that they are going to be with that championship. And actually, what has helped me with that is those rematches between Mirai and Miko Ano, because I feel like I know them better as competitors. I know the driving force behind them. I feel like I can relate to their tenacity, their resilience, and their desire for this championship because of these rematches. And even, you know, the little flicker that we got here, the little nods to their upcoming match at Ryogoku, I thought that was really, really cool. I think that, and I've said this before, that we have got big things planned for Koki Amare, and I think the little exchanges between her and Utami, that, as I've said, you know, and Matt, you've already touched on when we're talking about this match, in terms of Utami being the ace, you know, Koki Amare feels better, feels stronger for having these exchanges with Utami. And that's why Utami, and I've said this before on the Marigold standard as well, had Utami not left, I don't think there would have been a Marigold, because you needed that central figure. And I think if Julia wasn't going to WWE, you know, and it wasn't all signed, sealed, and delivered, maybe you could have had Julia in that position. However, with Julia going, you needed someone to be that ace. Okay, Sari's not a full member of the roster. Utami is that person. She's young. She's got the charisma. She's got the style. She's got the in-ring now. She makes people better. She sells so well for everyone as well. She makes everyone look fantastic as well, and that's so key when it comes to Utami. And that's actually something that I must admit Mirai is getting better for as well. I think her selling and her defensive wrestling is coming along really, really, really well. Victoria Yuzuki gets her first win, Matt, her first singles victory. And I genuinely, again, we've waxed lyrical about people improving. Myla Grace, I think, did another great job on this show. She's really, really beginning to find her feet. But Zeta Steele, man, 20 years old, 1 year in the business. I'm really, really, really impressed with Zeta Steele. Like, not only with the character work, which was always there, but she is able to hold her own in these singles matches now. And I'm so happy that she's fit in with the Japanese wrestling style, because she has got that certain something.
This was a match when it started I was interested in for a lot of reasons. One of the fact, partner, you mentioned Zeta Steele, only wrestling a year, 20 years old. Victoria Yuzuki, as much as we gloss over and talk about her, and put her over, and rightfully so, because she's great, she's wrestling like right around the same time, like right around a year, and I think she's only 18 or 19 years old. So both these wrestlers are in the ring with about 2 years combined experience, with probably I have more life experience than the two of them have combined, meaning that I've been on this planet, this wonderful planet, longer than the two of them probably combined. So it's like, okay, you don't have any tag partners in this match to kind of put things together. You don't have a vet to kind of guide if something goes awry, to guide to where it needs to go. And these two had an outstanding match. I had it 3 3/4 stars. I thought these two were terrific. I hope we see more of this pairing in the future, because if they're great here now, again, wrestling right around a year or so, how much better this pairing is going to be in 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, 5 years. I thought this was great. A good way to kind of get Victoria Yuzuki that goose egg off the win column. There's now a 1 there. So I thought this match is really good. Again, I'm so impressed with Zeta Steele, not only in her in-ring work, but her character work. And again, I mentioned this probably last 2 or 3 weeks in a row, that for somebody that does not speak the same language as the Japanese audience, boy howdy, she does a great job connecting with the crowd. Again, it's one thing to be good bell to bell, but Zeta Steele has really got it from curtain to curtain. So I'm really looking forward. The future is definitely bright for these two wrestlers. Again, really, really good match. Big fan of how they built towards the finish. 3 3/4 stars for me, my friend. And again, if you're stressed for time, or you're not sure, if you haven't seen the show yet, what matches do I watch? Take the time to watch these two, because these two are definitely stars in the making, and the making is right in front of our eyes.
Just on that note, I want to highlight again, and I know I sound like a broken record, but Komodo Minami, who wrestled a completely different match, against Momoka Hanazono than she did against, say, Natsumi Shozuki, where she was very much on the back foot, playing that underdog rookie who was just being beaten down by the elder stateswoman. And yet here she had a comedy match and fit really, really well with it. Her interactions with the audience, her interactions with the referee, her interactions with Hanazono showed that she's not just a one-dimensional character. And again, that's really important in a wrestler's arsenal, not to just have the same match or the same style of match every single time. And I think here she proved that she's got a little bit of an idea of how to wrestle under these circumstances. And yeah, absolutely. It's probably not a match you would go out of your way to seek out. It was a good match, don't get me wrong, as so many of these undercard matches are, but I wouldn't necessarily go out of my way to watch it. However, it is worth pointing out that Minami is doing really, really low-key good work in her own development, Matt.
Yeah, again, the fact that that was like her 5th or 6th match, give or take. And again, you mentioned about rolling into the armbar. It doesn't look forced. It seems very seamless. It makes you go show. I mean, to me, that probably proves that she's a judo or a catch or a jiu-jitsu background. The way she's able to roll in those arm bars. Yeah, I thought this was a really good. This was a good match. Good way to start the crowd. A good way to start the show. And it's always nice seeing Momoko Hanazono on like the bigger stages. The handful of matches she had in Stardom, I thought were great here. I would love to see her more in Marigold. Again, considering the fact that obviously the Stardom roster is insanely loaded. She doesn't need to be going in and out of Stardom, and she might get lost in the shuffle. So if she's going to be doing freelance work or whatever, I would love to see her more in Marigold, especially in that super flyweight division. I think she would fit in well because we saw her have great matches with Azumi, and I'd love to see her probably in that division. I'd love to see her brought back in more in the Marigold fold because I think she would fit in really, really well.
Yeah, agreed. Let's talk then. I suppose we probably should touch on, Matt, this pay-per-view that's coming up on Saturday. I feel like it'd be rude not to. Marigold Summer Destiny 2024 is on Friday. No, it's not. It's on Saturday. Don't tune in on Friday. It's on Saturday. But it's an exciting pay-per-view for a lot of reasons. It will air as a pay-per-view, as I've mentioned, and is around 4,400 yen, which is about $27. However, if you purchase it through Wrestle Universe as a subscriber, you will get it at a cut price, 3,200 yen, which is $19.88. So if you don't know where to go, we have got, under all our Marigold news, we have got a little banner that you can click on, and that will take you to the site. Alternatively, just head to Wrestle Universe, sign up as a subscriber, and you can purchase the pay-per-view for 3,200 yen. The card then, let's run through the card again just very, very quickly before we talk about these matches. So Komomo Minami is going one-on-one with Rhea Sato, who makes her Marigold debut after coming out at the last Korakuen Hall show. The Twin Towers, Chikagoto and Koki Amare, will be taking on Victoria Yuzuki and a mystery opponent. We sort of looked at the possibilities for that on the last episode of the Stardom cast. Chiaki and Nagisa Nozaki versus Myla Grace and Zeta Steel. Vacant Superfly Championship match. Misa Matsui versus Natsumi Shozuki. Marigold versus LLPWX, the Passion Sisters, Nanae Takahashi, Naoya Ishikawa, and Mai Sakurai, who we didn't mention during this slew of shows, actually was enlisted to help by Nanae Takahashi. They will be taking on the LLPWX team of Shinobu Kandori, Takako Inoue, and Nori. We've then got the United National Championship Tournament Round 1 rematch. Mirai versus Miko Ano. That has got an amended time limit of 30 minutes, not your standard 20. Vacant United National Championship match, then that will be Mirai or Miko Ano, whoever wins, taking on Bozilla to be the first champion. The Queen of Queens match, the match that a lot of people will be tuning in to see, Utami Hayashishita versus Io Sky. And then in your main event, currently still listed, and again, I have no concerns that Julia will be past fit. I think we'd have heard if she wasn't by now, so we are going to carry on with our preview as though she is going to be there. The Destiny Julia versus Sari, and as announced by the Marigold Twitter pages, if Julia is past fit, this will be for the red belt, the Marigold World Championship. Matt, there's a hell of a lot on the line here, not just necessarily the matches, but Rossi has promised big announcements as well on this show. I am so excited for this card.
Yeah, I mean, this is going to really set the standard for Marigold. Basically, again, you're going to have, I mean, I know I'm all over the place there. About a week or so ago, Meltzer reported there's 2,500 tickets sold. My guess is probably do over 3,000 between, once they have this press conference and they officially announce Julia Versari, which again, fingers crossed, I think it's going to happen. That I think you're going to move more tickets there. I think you're going to get more day of show tickets sold. So my guess is this will probably do well over 3,000 tickets. How many people can they retain? A lot of people are going for those two main matches. How many people are they going to retain for to be like they're going to constantly watch Marigold, whether it's going to be on Wrestle Universe or whenever they get towards the Sumo Hall area going to the shows. So that's going to be very interesting. I think with the way that this card is shaping up, I think they'll get a lot. I highly doubt there's anybody that's going to leave the show saying, that was all right. I think that everybody's super excited for this show. And again, for the new eyes that are going to be on this show, I think they're going to hit an absolute home run. They have a stacked card, literally from match 1 all the way to the main event. And the fact that we're going to have, Rossi has a special announcement. We don't know what that's going to be. And the fact that we have a mystery partner in one of the underneath tag matches. Sometimes the mystery, the intrigue is always something that can get us wrestling fans excited. So, yeah, I'm super excited. Wrestling has given us a lot of good things these first 6 months of the year. And this might be the best yet, my friend. So, yeah, this is going to be an absolute barn burner must-see show.
So, I'm intrigued. So, obviously, this is being run at Ryogoku. If we were to look at under and over in terms of what Stardom have managed to achieve in their 6 shows at Ryogoku, every Dream Queendom has exceeded 3,000 people. With, I believe, so Dream Queendom, number 3, 2023, the last one, 3,063. In 2022, they drew 3,869 people, and Dream Queendom won the very first one, 3,039. Now, they also ran World Climax, which the first night, which if you remember was Julia versus Syuri for the red belt, 2,712. And then the second night, which was Mayu versus Syuri, was 3,085. I'm not factoring in the Ryogoku Cinderella Champions Fiesta simply because I feel it's sort of an unkept secret that number has been heavily inflated. So I'm not going to take that into account. But the reason I ask is 2,500 tickets have been sold. That's been reported by Meltzer in the Wrestling Observer newsletter. That's without walk-ups. That's without tickets that are going to be purchased once Julia is pronounced fit, if she's pronounced fit, but I think she will be. Where do you think this will sit in terms of tickets? I would be surprised if they get over 3,869, which is Stardom's highest attendance at this venue, which was the Dream Queendom 2022. However, I do think that they are going to exceed 3,000 tickets for this show. And if they do, I cannot stress how much of an achievement that is for Marigold. Taking out of account Stardom, that's not, I'm using them as a reference. It's not a which promotion's better. That's not why I'm doing it. If Marigold can achieve over 3,000 tickets, even if it's 3,001 ticket, if they can go over 3,000 tickets or even approach 3,000 tickets, having been a company for just over 2 months, that is a phenomenal achievement, isn't it, Matt?
Yeah, my guess, I'm going to say 3,200. I'm going to say they're going to do 3,200. I think, again, walk-up business. I think once we have that press conference, you're going to create a lot of buzz. But correct me if I'm wrong, partner. I think Io is going to be at that press conference, right?
Oh, I don't know. Is she?
But I think I thought I read that somewhere. Again, the internet could be wrong. That's another thing. The internet sometimes, Rob, is wrong. I know I'm breaking a lot of hot takes here on the Marigold Standard, but if the press conference is on Friday, right?
Yes, it is the 12th.
Yeah, why wouldn't she? Yeah, I don't see Io flying in last minute. She's from Japan. She's going on to see her family. My guess is she probably flew out Tuesday morning after Monday Night Raw. That'd be my guess. To get away from some jet lag, go see her family, maybe go train at the dojo. If she's going to be there, it would help the press conference out to have her there to create some more buzz. Like, wow, Io is physically here. The lady who had a phenomenal run with the WWE Women's Championship. She was in the co-main event, stole the show at WrestleMania in Philadelphia. I think with Io being at that press conference, you're going to create a lot more buzz and get a lot more last-minute ticket sales. I'm going to say that they're going to do around 3,200. That's going to be my guess. But yeah, if they can do, even if they don't sell any more tickets, even if they sell it at 2,500 tickets, that's still a really, really good number considering the fact that a lot of these wrestlers have never wrestled in front of a crowd that big before. And again, how much audience retention are you going to get coming off this show? I think you're going to get quite a bit. Obviously, Io is not going to be on every show. This may be a one and done or once in a year. There's a good chance Julia and Sari, we may not be seeing them that much in Marigold. I don't know. Obviously, Julia, we know she's going over to WWE. We know we know they want her on TV ASAP, right? For obvious reasons. Sari, we don't know what's going on with her. She's still doing freelance work, but we've seen her on a lot of these Marigold shows. Is it a point where they sign her to a contract or an exclusive deal, or does Triple H realized that they kind of made a little boo boo booking Sari in NXT when she was there, and it's going to be very easy to, maybe they give her a whole bunch of money and then she goes back over the States. I don't know. Because you're gonna have some of these wrestlers are not going to be. You're not going to be seeing in Marigold too long after the show. So can they hook them with the Utamis, with the Mirais, with the Bozillas, with the now Ishikawas? We're gonna see, my friend. Obviously, we're here for it. Myself and Rob, we are here for the long haul. We are here for the long haul. We absolutely love it because the Marigold Wrestling Company is one of our favorites to watch. So it's going to be intriguing to see how many people that they can get back after this, what is going to be a pretty well-packed Sumo Hall show and a great Sumo Hall show.
Yeah, absolutely. The only thing I think that works against Marigold is that Pro Wrestling Noah are running Budokan, I believe, on the exact same day with
AJ, yeah.
Yeah, AJ versus Marufuji. So that might affect the amount of walk-up they have. I don't think New Japan have got a show on that day. I know Stardom have their in Yamato in Osaka, but I don't know. Let me just have a look. They've got the Fantastica Mania show in the USA. Don't think that's going to affect the walk-up too much. So yeah,
that's a long walk-up.
It is a long walk-up. Long walk-up. So yeah, I imagine that the departure show from Noah will probably affect a little bit of the walk-up, but even so, I'm going to go slightly more conservative. I think they'll get just under 3,100. I'm negative. I'm British. But I still think, again, even 2,500 is a fantastic amount of tickets sold for a company that's less than 3 months old. I think that needs to be the overarching factor, whatever they do end up pulling in on the actual day. Let's have a look at the matches then individually. Komomo Minami versus Rhea Sato. Rhea Sato, for those who can't remember, is formerly known as Rhea Maramori. She was part of Sendai Girls. Meiko Satomura rang Rossi and said she wants to wrestle for Marigold. Can you basically talk to her? Had an interview, and she'll be making her debut under her new name, Rhea Sato, in this match here. Matt, I imagine this will be sort of a feeling out match. I can't see it being a huge barn burner, but I am still excited. And what a place to make your Marigold debut than in Ryogoku. That's quite impressive.
Yeah, with Io Shirai walking by you and Utami Hayashishita walking by you in the hallway in the dressing room.
Exactly.
No pressure. Yeah, this one will probably go about 5 or 6 minutes. Let them go in. Again, like how you said, probably a feeling out process. But with Rhea Sato coming in from Sendai Girls, the fact that there was a little bit of fanfare when she came in, where Rossi Ogawa put her over, I believe in Korakuen Hall, she came out and did a promo. I think that she's going to pick up the win here. And I've never seen her wrestle before, so this is going to be a treat for me to be able to watch her literally match number 1 on this show. But my prediction is that the former Sendai Girls wrestler is going to start off 1-0.
Yeah, agreed. I think that's probably where we're going to go. She did debut earlier than Minami as well. So she debuted in August of 2023. She has been out with an injury or with ill health. I can't actually remember which one, but I would be surprised if Rhea Sato doesn't walk away the victor. We've then got the tag team match, as I scroll through to find my notes, between... There we go. The Twin Towers, Chikagoto and Koki Amare versus Victoria Yuzuki and a mystery opponent. Now, we did a little bit of talking on the Stardom cast because Himanshu Doi on Twitter put together a little bit of a crib sheet as to who it could be. So just to remind people, Kazuna Tanaka left Pro Wrestling Wave on July 1st. Maya Fukuda left GLEAT on July 1st, and Neho Yamada left Actress Girls on June 30th. So those are 3 free agents that could effectively turn up. Now, unfortunately, I don't know a great deal about Naho Yamada. I didn't realize Kazuna Tanaka was the daughter of the Tanaka. And obviously, Maya Fukuda, I know that you are a big fan after seeing her match with Konami at Bloodsport. I would be surprised if it's not one of these three. But again, I'm not well versed enough in any of them to make an informed decision, Matt.
Yeah, I'm going to say it's going to be Tanaka. That's going to be my guess. I'm going to say, as far as prediction goes, depending on who it is, but I'm going to still say the Twin Towers take the win here, because I can see them in the finals and or winning, being the first tag team championships. Becoming the first tag team champions, because they're so good together. So I'm going to say they pick up a win here. Now, Rob, very much like how I pumped my fists in the air when my Sakurai got the win with the Rob Goodwin diving elbow drop, I will do a double fist in the pump in the air if it is Kaori Yoneyama as one of the, because she's not under contract to Stardom. Correct me if I'm wrong. She's a freelancer.
She is,
and she has a really good working relationship with one Rossi Ogawa. So I will say this: that if it is the Bilkin Death, Fukin Death, Queen Clown, whatever we want to call her, if any version of her does show up as the mystery partner, or just in this show in general, I will pop huge, because I can just imagine what's going on at the Goodwin household. Regardless of who the partner is going to be, again, they're making us as the mystery partner. So somebody that's probably going to come in and be signed to Marigold, is probably going to be competing for the Marigold company probably from the future, which I'm all for, to see more wrestlers and more quality wrestlers in this company. But I think that it's going to be the Twin Towers pick up the W here.
Completely agree with you. I don't think that it's going to be anyone huge. Simply because I feel like if it was going to be someone huge, more would have been made of it. In the run up to this show. I feel like if it was going to be Kyrie, for example, it's obviously not going to be Kyrie, but if it was going to be someone of that sort of stature, they wouldn't be in this match second from the bottom. And also, Marigold would be using this as a vehicle to move more tickets. I think it's probably going to be someone who is going to be brought on to the roster more or less full time, probably one of the three that we've already mentioned. But I do feel like Kokiyama and Chikagoto are going to get the victory here, as you've already said, Matt, because they've already said in an interview that they want to go for the Marigold Twin Star Championships. So it makes sense to have them develop and build momentum heading into that before it's actually announced. Chiaki and Nagisa Nozaka versus Myla Grace and Zayda Steele. Much as I would love for Zayda Steele to get that elusive first victory, it's not happening here. You've just had Chiaki not turn heel, but sort of develop a more heelish persona. She's now teaming with Nagisa Nozaki. We've seen a bit of dysfunction when Myla Grace and Zayda Steele have teamed up in the past. I feel like Nozaki and Chiaki are winning here.
Yeah, this one, if I'm going to put one lock on the night, this is going to be for me. Because, again, Myla Grace, Zayda Steele, we've seen them team together before. They work really well together. Zayda Steele, so impressed with Myla Grace these last 3 or 4 shows. She's really come a long way in such a short period of time. But we're building up this heel team. That's what we're doing. We're building up this heel team as we're building our tag division. It doesn't take a genius to kind of figure out what the easy solution here is. And I believe the heel team of Chiaka and Nozaki is going to pick up the W here in what should be a really, really good underneath tag match.
Agreed. Vacant Superfly Championship match. Who is going to be the inaugural Superfly champion? Is it going to be Misa Matsui? Or is it going to be Natsumi Shozuki? I think this is another sort of feather in the cap for Marigold, that I don't care who wins this one. I'm happy with whoever wins this as well. Misa Matsui, through her passion injection match, again, those passion injection matches, the one she had with Nanae Takahashi, fantastic match. Natsumi Shozuki, from seeing her just brutalize people and not care. I love both these women. And honestly, whoever is the inaugural flag bearer for the Superfly division, I am happy. I don't really mind who wins. I can see why people think it's going to be Misa Matsui, and I think on Marigold Joshi's Twitter page, they've actually put a poll up, and I think Misa Matsui is the overwhelming favourite. I'm going to go Natsumi Shozuki, though.
Whoa, hot take, Rob Goodwin.
Partly because I love Natsumi Shozuki, but just because I think people are so into Misa Matsui that it might be more for the chase. I feel like you could develop her more as someone chasing that belt. For me, at any rate, Misa Matsui is the quintessential Superfly wrestler. But there's nobody else that you can class as that sort of style. And I think if you put the belt on her straight away, you've got nowhere to go from there. Again, if you do put the belt on Matsui, that's absolutely fine. Not one person will be complaining, let alone me. However, I'm going to go Natsumi Shozuki. What about you, Matt?
Rob Goodwin, I think you're overthinking it, brother. I see your point. You made a lot of good points, but you're overthinking it. It seems like Misa Matsui is the going to be the flag bearer for that high speed style super flyweight division. So that's the reason why I'm going to go with her. I can see me being wrong. I'm wrong quite a bit. That's part of my charm, I guess. As far as I'm with you, partner. I love Natsumi Shozuki. She's terrific. Her and Migo Ano were the two wrestlers I knew nothing about. Or a lot of the wrestlers I knew nothing about when Marigold first started. But they're the two wrestlers that have impressed me the most. Again, outside of the Stardom wrestlers that we already knew. So I can see it going the other way, but at the same time, you can kind of run this one back. We've seen that Rossi Ogawa in the early stages of Marigold has got no problem with the automatic rematch. And again, if the match is good and it makes sense and it's something that people want to see come back, it's going to draw tickets. So I'm going to say Misa Matsui takes this one, but I would not be shocked if it goes the other way.
In what is being billed as an LLPX dojo on a pole match, Marigold versus LLPWX, Nanae Takahashi, Naoya Ishikawa, and Mai Sakurai versus Shinobu Kandori, Takako Inoue, and Nori. Marigold Joshi have put out a tweet just to remind everyone that this is a battle of legends and a battle for a dojo. Marigold rents currently the LLPWX dojo. LLPWX says that Marigold doesn't clean up properly. I'd like to know which wrestler it is. Nanae said put the dojo on the line. Shinobu Kandori agreed. So we are officially wrestling, Matt, over a dojo. Who's winning this? Because I know who I think.
Tell you what, Sakurai defeats Kandori with the elbow drop. That might be Rob's official retirement. However, Rob, I'm going to go with the complete opposite. Not only does that not happen, I'm going to say Kandori submits Sakurai with an armbar, which affects the arm, and maybe it affects her elbow drop arm, thus retiring the armbar. I'm not going to say she's going to retire the elbow. I'm not saying she's retiring the elbow, but I'm going to say Kandori is going to submit Sakurai with the armbar. So that's where I'm going on this one.
I can say honestly, if Kandori submit Sakurai and it leads to the all-out retirement of the elbow drop, it might be the biggest face turn in history. You think I'd lose my mind if Fukigen Death turned up? My God, if this happens, Jesus. I'm with you. I think the Legends probably win this. I do think it will probably be Naoya Ishikawa that eats the pinfall, but that's the only real difference. However, I do feel like an additional stipulation should be made of this, that we get official confirmation of who it is that doesn't tidy up. Who do you think it is? If you had to pick someone currently on the roster of Marigold, who do you think it is that isn't cleaning up in the dojo?
Zeta Steel, right? I mean, she's 20 years old. I mean, I have a teen. Well, my daughter's right around the same age. You know how hard it is to get a girl to clean up their room, and we saw her come out with the banana thing with Bozilla a couple shows ago, and I don't think she cleaned up the banana. So Zeta Steel, if you're listening, we love you. We think you're a fantastic wrestler. Your daughter, your daughter. My daughter's right around the same age as you, and I'm just saying, like, she doesn't clean up after herself. And I have a younger sister that I still am very close with. And she didn't clean up after herself either. So that is my answer, and that's the reason why. Again, Zeta, if you're listening, we love you. You're fantastic talent, and I'm hoping that I'm wrong.
I think it's Mirai. I think basically when she won that huge bag of cream corn, She just didn't. She just ate him, and like crumbs everywhere, the bag everywhere. Just left it everywhere, and ultimately it wound up Shinobu Kandori. So that's my thought. We'd love to hear from you guys who you think is the messiest person on the Marigold roster. Moving on to the high stakes matches now. Obviously, not that the LLPWX dojo on a pole match isn't high stakes. Mirai versus Miko Auno. This is obviously the semi-final for the national championship. The winner will then go on to face Bozilla. This match, very much a case of flip a coin. I don't think it matters who goes on to the final. Both women have done themselves a world of good in that trilogy of matches. I think this match on a big stage with the amended time limit is going to be just as good. For me, I think it's probably going to be Mirai, simply because I don't know. It changes day to day because yesterday I genuinely thought Miko Auno. So I don't know. But today, my gut feeling is that Mirai probably comes out of this. But I would not be surprised. With this being a 30-minute time limit, it would not surprise me if this goes 28, 29 minutes.
I'm going to go back to back on my predictions here because my guess, and the way that I would book it, is I would have, as soon as this match is over, Bozilla comes out. And here's the reason why. You know this match is going to go over 20 minutes. And even if it goes 16, 17 minutes, it's going to be hard-hitting from the bell ringing until the bell rings. I'm going to say Mirai gets the win. She's exhausted because she just had this another all-out war with Miko Auno. Bozilla comes out as the biggest badass in this company. And they have about a 4 or 5 minute match where Bozilla dominates minutes 1 to 3. Mirai is able to make a little bit of a comeback, throwing a lot of lariats, drops Bozilla after maybe 3 or 4 lariats, maybe teases the double wrist lock to Mira Mirai. Looks like she might be able to tap out Bozilla, and then Bozilla is able to get out, hit 1 or 2 moves, and then call it. Like that match with Bozilla does not need to be a 9-10 minute match. It can be something very simple where she's literally picking up the scraps. Not only picking up the scraps from this match, but considering the fact Bozilla's been in a series of tag matches these last 4 or 5 shows where these two have wrestled each other for 60 minutes. So they're already going in, if you're looking at it from a kayfabe stance, you're already going in with wear and tear on their bodies because they've wrestled a hard 60 minutes. Now we're going to get 60 plus minutes. Bozilla comes in, dominates the first little bit of the match, have whoever it is, whether it's Miko Auno, Mirai, again, my prediction's Mirai, have them make a little bit of a comeback, make it look like they're going to get the win, pull this miracle out, but then only for Bozilla to dominate, hit 1 or 2 moves, either that insane pile driver or that sit-out powerbomb, get the win, and then you can tell that story of running it back because that person wasn't at 100%. I think Mirai and Miko Auno are going to have another instant classic, but I think if Bozilla loses to either one of these wrestlers that have already wrestled another war, I think it's going to hurt the Bozilla character. I think the way to go about it is then to build Mirai back up and then have her eventually be the one to not only dethrone Bozilla, but be the first person that has a victory over Bozilla. I think you would be able to accomplish so much more with that long game with Mirai, because I think she is that person that is going to be holding that secondary belt and really be able to draw tickets and have the great matches that we know that she can have. So that's my prediction, is that Mirai gets the win and then Bozilla to walk out as the United Champion.
That is blow for blow exactly as I would do it. Not only that, it protects whoever your ultimate loser is in that final match, because you can always argue, right, well, they just had an absolute war again, having wrestled, as you mentioned, 60 minutes on and off against each other. So, yeah, I personally think that's how they'll go. At the moment, we aren't sure of the running order. The way I've got it is that this match, the championship match between Mirai and Miko Auno, whoever wins that versus Bozilla, will run straight after the semi-final. I am going to make a little bit of a side prediction. If there is a break between the Mirai and Miko Auno match and the winner versus Bozilla match, I think whoever wins in that semi-final is coming out with the white belt. However, if these matches follow each other, Bozilla's winning. And I think that's how they'll do it. So, for example, if you open this pay-per-view, which is a very real possibility, if you open this pay-per-view with Mirai versus Miko Ano, and then the winner of that versus Bozilla is on like third from the top, I think Mirai or Miko Ano is winning it. However, like I said, if they run on to one another, I think you've got the perfect opportunity there to give Bozilla the championship, and it won't hurt or damage either Mirai or Miko Ano because of the war they've just had. Plus, you don't want a 10, 11, 12-minute match with Bozilla straight afterwards anyway, because we haven't had that with Bozilla. We don't know what a singles match of that length is like for Bozilla. Let's have it as a 4-5-minute match tops. Paints Bozilla as a massive destroyer, gives Mirai and Miko Ano, to a certain extent, a reason to challenge again further down the line. I think that's the perfect way to book it. Queen of Queens, Utami Hayashishita versus Io Sky. I want a 60-minute time limit draw. Probably won't be, because it'll probably only be a 30-minute time limit, but I just want to see these two wrestle forever and ever and ever, because you know that Io Sky is going to go full Stardom mode, and you know that Utami, who has proclaimed that she got into wrestling because of Io, you know that she is going to be up for absolutely anything. She is going to be so focused in this match. You know this is going to be a barn burner. And, you know, let's talk in terms of star ratings, 4.5 stars minimum. I feel this. The expectation for this match is huge, and I am so excited. But if you're not going to go time limit draw, if this is a one and done, Utami needs to win. If they are going to do it again, I don't know, you know, what the relationship is in that sort of, in that way with between WWE and Marigold. I think Io Sky could win and Utami wins the rematch. What do you think?
I think there's 3 real possibilities on here. I see Utami winning, I see Io winning, and I see a 30-minute time. I see it. Oh no, that I can see. I'm just saying it's not. I can see it either one. I'm going to give my official prediction, but I would not be shocked to see either one of those happen. Really, I wouldn't. But considering the fact that Io, again, it's not like she's a mid-carder in WWE. She's prominent on TV. She's one of their main eventers. She's one of their big stars. For her to lose to somebody that is not on nationwide TV, that's not being seen by well over 1 million people every week on TV, I don't think, unfortunately, politics are going to take a part in this. At the same time, politics is what helped give us this match. So I think Io does get the win because, I mean, Utami, we've seen Utami's got no problem putting anybody over. She put everybody over on her way out of Stardom, and it didn't hurt her a bit. Her losing to Io Sky, Io Shirai, a worldwide superstar on this big stage, it's not only not going to hurt her, it's going to make Utami somehow a better wrestler coming out of it. That's why I'm saying Io is going to win, but I wouldn't be shocked if this goes 30-minute time limit draw, and I wouldn't be shocked if Utami does get the win, because I can see Io. I can see like them saying, Io, whatever you want to do, you want to do. Because if Io loses here, it's not going to hurt her anyway. She's going to go on to Monday Night Raw and wrestle in front of, 2 million people watching or whatever their ratings are, and she's going to be absolutely fine. It's not going to kill her career. This could be something very much where Triple H is just like, whatever you guys think fits, I'm fine with. Because I have that much confidence in Io, the fact that it's not, she'll be fine. And I can see Io saying, if it is up to Io, I can see her saying, I'm just going to put Utami over. We mentioned at the start of the show that she thought everybody got into Stardom because they wanted to see Mayu and Kairi over her. Obviously, that's the main reason, like more than her, that she was just astounded by like how. It's like I don't think she even knows how many wrestling fans and people that are into pro wrestling that got into pro wrestling because of her. So I can see if they tap Io to be like, whatever you want to do, and she would gladly put Utami over. But for an official prediction, I'm going to say Io wins, 4.5 stars minimum. Yes, I totally agree with you. And again, I'm going to stand by the statement when we reviewed the show on Saturday at the live podcast, which I know Rob will plug at the very, very end, that we will be saying this is Io's greatest bell-to-bell match she had since leaving Stardom. Because that, again, the expectations for Io to be Stardom Io, they're there. And plus, Io's great. She's wrestling Utami Hayashishita, which, I mean, geez, even in her Stardom run, Rob, was there anybody in her Stardom run as good as Utami is now? I mean, maybe Kairi, even Mayu, as great as she was in those matches in 2016, 2017. I don't know if she had the aura of Utami Hayashishita. So this is one of the best wrestlers that Io Shirai has ever been in the ring with, which is saying something. That just goes to show you just the high regard that we have for Utami Hayashishita. But yeah, don't be shocked if we're calling this one match of the year. I think this is going to be absolutely fantastic. Is this the match on the card you're looking forward to the most, my friend?
I mean, come on. There's a certain level of intrigue when it comes to the championships, and obviously Julia versus Sari is going to be a huge affair, especially if it's for the red belt. This match we didn't think was going to happen, and there's that layer of, we didn't think we'd see Io Sky in a Japanese promotion ring ever again. So the fact that we do have that, the fact that it's against someone who has openly said how much this person means to her. And I suppose the big thing about this is this match could go 5 minutes and Utami will still think she's won. Because again, she didn't think this would happen. And she's in the ring with her hero. So ultimately, it doesn't matter who wins because Utami, I'm sure, will feel like she's the biggest winner on this entire card. But yes, this is the match I'm most excited for a multitude of reasons, whether it's because I know what Io Sky is capable of, I know what Utami's capable of, the fact that, we didn't think we'd get this match, what it means for future Marigold shows, especially future big Marigold shows if they run more pay-per-views at places like Ryogoku. The possibilities are huge, and this match sort of epitomizes them.
Rob, real quick,
go on.
Before we move on, last question on this match. You mentioned that Io is going to go pretty much full Stardom Io or Stardom style Io. Does she take a crazy bump on the apron and or the floor like she used to in those Cork and Hall matches?
I feel if she doesn't take a German suplex on the apron, what is the point in even showing up, Io?
Or the air raid crash, because those air raid crashes that Tommy did in those Sherry matches, three red belt Sherry matches, those were brutal. So I wouldn't be shocked if there's an air raid crash and or a German suplex onto the floor.
Yeah, completely agree. And obviously the Destiny, the main event as it is billed at the moment, Julia versus Sari, a dream match in of itself. Obviously, again, we are still awaiting confirmation. It'll probably come out like 20 minutes after this episode goes live, knowing our bloody luck. But currently it's not been announced officially that Julia is fit. Again, both me and Matt are of the opinion that she will be. The chances are that this will be for the Marigold World Championship. It's an interesting one, this one, because, this match is going to be great. Like, we saw what Sari did with Mayu, brutalized Mayu. We know that Julia excels in a brawling, sort of unhinged type of match. These two could do legitimate damage to each other, and I am a little bit scared, in the best possible way. But in terms of who is your first red belt champion, Julia, everyone knows, is on her way to NXT. We don't know when that will officially be. We do know, or we think we know, that Julia, at least to start off, will be splitting her time between Marigold and NXT. I believe that was announced in the Observer a couple of months ago, that she will be doing that sort of style. Sari, though of course she will be staying in Japan, is not a full-time member of the Marigold roster. So who do you put the top championship on? I know who I'd put it on, but I'm intrigued to know what you think, Matt.
This is the hardest one for me to predict.
It really is.
Which is great because, like, again, we talked about how Io and Utami may be match of the year. And it's going to be great. It might even be the match of the night because of how great this match really could be. I originally thought when they were first announced they were doing this match, Julia was going to win to get her win back from Cork and Hall. But at the same time, we know that Julia is going to be spending a lot of her time over in the States. So do you put the belt on somebody that's not going to be there? However, do you split the time? Because we know we have to get that Julia versus Utami dream match somewhere down the hopefully in the next. Maybe that's one of the big announcements is they're running Sumo Hall, and our main event is going to be for the red belt, Julia, who just won it, versus Utami. Maybe part of the working deal is that Julia, very much like Starlight Kid, shows up everywhere with the Spark Joshi Championship. Can you imagine Julia showing up to WWE TV with the red belt, and then the announcers put that over, and it's just basically a free ad for Marigold? It's a free ad for like, where do I see this red belt being defended? Well, the blah blah blah. They're gonna, Utami Hayashishita, who wrestled Io Sky on the same show. That's our former champion here at NXT. That's an easy way to go about it. But at the same time, do you really want your first champion to be somebody that is in and out of the country? But then again, on the other foot, brother, do you want your first champion to be somebody that's not officially signed to the company? Now, as far as wrestling goes, it's a win-win. Julia, great, being a great champion. Sorry, be a great champion. There's really no wrong answer here. But at the same time, none of these wrestlers are tied down to a Marigold contract, which I think is very interesting and very weird that they're going to make the first red belt champion, your first main champion, somebody that's not tied down to a contract. Now, maybe Sari said, maybe she did the Soriano deal where it's like, look, you will get top priority with this belt. I'm still going to do, my Sariism shows. I'm still going to do this. I'm still going to do that. I'm still going to do some of these other independents that I do, Sendai Girls or all these other companies she works for, but you're going to get top priority. And maybe that's the reason they go about it. And that's the reason why I'm going to say that Sari walks out as the first red belt champion. But for me, partner, this match is the hardest to predict, which just makes more intrigue for me as a fan going into this match. My official prediction is that Sari gets the win here.
I can't abstain. I know I've got to give a prediction. It's a difficult one for all the reasons you've just outlined. We are sort of coming off the back of Sari doing this whole I'm going to be the new icon of Marigold thing, and how she's rubbing up the roster the wrong way, so to speak, by basically labeling herself the unofficial icon of Stardom. I think you could get a lot of Marigold, sorry. I think you could get a lot of mileage from that if Sari was to be your red belt champion and then have people challenge her back and sort of prove themselves to Sari through these championship matches. And then I think someone like an Utami would eventually dethrone Sari. However, Julia is the person sort of, anyone else who was out with a wrist injury would not be turning up to every single Marigold show. I mean, something we didn't note is that we had the paper streamers back for Mirai's show solely for Mirai, and Julia dived in to bloody sweep up the ring. She did ring announcing for one of the cards. So she's been at every single one. She is the poster girl for this promotion. So it makes sense to a certain extent to put the red belt on her, even if she is going to NXT. I'm going to go Julia. Again, it's literally 51-49. I can see them putting it on Sari, and I'm not going to be disappointed if they put it on Sari. I can see them putting it on Julia, and I can see her rocking up to NXT in it. I really can. Again, whoever comes out on top in this match, it is going to be a brutal affair, which I think is going to be quite a juxtaposition to the Queen of Queens match, which, is going to be hard-hitting, certainly, but you are going to be looking at it in terms of, oh my God, this was incredible feats of wrestling beauty. And then you got Julia and Sari, who legitimately just want to end each other. And I think it's beautiful in a different kind of way. Either way, these two matches are going to be absolutely blow away, and I am very, very excited by it. Now, Matt, unless you've got anything else to say, my friend, I think it's about time that we end this podcast, simply because we've somehow once again managed to go 2.5 hours, and I don't exactly know how. But before we do go, ladies and gentlemen, do not forget that Summer Destiny is this Saturday, and we are going to be live reviewing that show. 8 p.m. British Standard Time, live on YouTube and on Twitter, which is 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Please come and join us. Come and ask your questions. Come and join in the live chat. We would love to see and hear as many people as is possible. You can set a notification. It is pinned to the top of our Twitter page. Click on that, notify you, and it'll notify you that we are about to start. It'd be great to see as many of you as is possible there. In the meantime, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for tuning in and joining us for this pay-per-view preview show. We thoroughly enjoyed doing it for you. Don't forget, you can check out the website, thestardomcast.com, for all of your Marigold information, all of the archived episodes of the Marigold Standard as well. You can check out our Twitter at Marigold Podcast. You can find me on Twitter at RealRobGoodwin. Don't forget to review the podcast. If you think we've deserved it, a 5-star review would help us out tremendously, as well as a comment. And yeah, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for joining us once again. We hope to see as many of you there on Friday as is humanly possible. Saturday, not Friday. Why do I keep saying Friday? I mean Saturday. For God's sake, Saturday. Matt, for goodness sake, sign us off.
Tag me in, brother. I got you. Hot tag to Matt Turner. Folks, questions, comments, anything that I can do for you, suggestions, Matt Turner OF on the Instagram and or the Twitter is the best way to get a hold of me. And yes, like Rob said, please, if you have not done so, leave a 5-star review and a comment. It really helps the algorithm out, and it gets this podcast out to as many people as possible, because we're all about spreading the love of Joshi Pro Wrestling. We hope to see you all there Saturday for our live review of what may be one of the best wrestling shows that these eyes have ever seen.
It's not Friday. Not Friday. Saturday.
I did say Saturday, didn't I?
No, I'm just saying it's definitely Saturday, not Friday. Oh. I'm agreeing with you.
Oh, okay. There you go. We're doubling down. Now what we're doing is we're doing tag team finishers here, folks. We just hit the blue and gold spike brain buster. Anywho, folks, you guys know how to get a hold of me. We hope we see you there Saturday at the live podcast. Folks, that's going to wrap this episode up. I hope you all appreciate the efforts that we're putting in, because we appreciate all the fantastic support that you show us, because like I always say, it's just not my podcast. It's our podcast, because we're all together and everybody's different. Everyone's special.